Greetings, Koopalings, and welcome back to the Play Some Video Games podcast. We thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode 89 of the PSVG pod. Once again, I'm in the host chair, joined by my man, Delvin. What's up, Moneda de Oro?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Everything's great, man. You know, in times like this, when Dev's not here, he's dead to us. You know, he has to do all this other
Just
stuff.
quits on us.
Just quit.
Quits on us so hard.
Just
No?
I can't be there. I'm not there. Yeah, just hurtful.
On PlayStation weeks, too.
Yeah.
It's everybody starts talking about PlayStation. All of a sudden, he can't take the heat, and he doesn't show up.
Just doesn't show up. Just doesn't show up to work.
But let another Redfall come out, and he'll be here. He'd be here to let me know all about it.
He comes early. I've been here at 7 o'clock waiting on you guys.
Where have you guys been? Speaking of Redfall, I believe it's now, give or take a day or two, like a month since that game was released, and the developer has nothing at all from Arcane about updates or performance patches or anything.
I got to tell you, they better be happy Zelda came out.
Remember when, before the game released, they did that article where the developer, like the lead producer of the game, talked about how he was listening and they were going to fix all these things, the online requirements and all that. And we were like, this is so nice to hear that it sounds like they're really listening and taking this stuff into account. And look, I know that, like Rome wasn't built in a day, but at the same time, given the condition the game released, say something. Just to acknowledge the issues. They're doing nothing. If you just go to their Twitter or anything, it's just commercials. It's like, hey, have you played Redfall, the latest and greatest game from Arcane? It's like, yeah, that shit that you released that's on fire. I mean, I beat the game and kind of liked it, but damn, nothing.
It reminds me of Hello Games when No Man's Sky dropped and people was underwhelmed by it, and then they just disappeared for like a minute. Like,
and maybe they'll come back with a really big update, but especially considering that, I mean, it is an Xbox studio and how conditioned Xbox fans have been to like Xbox oversharing. Like they're so communicative about everything. I'm just letting you know that I haven't forgot about you, Redfall. I'm gonna keep bringing it up because I gave you good press when you were talking about fixing all these complaints about the game, and then your game comes out, people have real complaints about the game. You've got nothing to say. Just absolutely nothing at all. Not just a peep.
Like Boston doesn't have nothing to say either.
Ooh, nothing. You feeling it?
Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all.
I feel bad for Boston.
I stayed quiet.
And I hate saying that because I can't stand Boston. But
I can't either.
That game 7 was ruined when Tatum rolled his ankle. And you never want to see anybody. I never want to see anybody go out like that.
You don't. It's sad, but I'm not sad.
Like, because I hate when a series is compromised by an injury, That's crap.
Yeah, it is. But hey.
And it is an excuse. A lot of people say don't like Tatum wasn't right. I watched the game. He wasn't right after that.
Yeah.
But he took 10 shots after that? Like he wasn't Tatum. I'd say the same thing if it happened to Jimmy.
Well, it did. It happened to Jimmy. Jimmy's injured now. But you just got to roll with it. That's playoff basketball. Unfortunately, like when you get injured, it's almost like a strategy. Players get injured. You kind of think, do I play this next game and risk hurting ourselves more, or do we sit this out and kind of reserve ourselves for the game that might be crucial? And that kind
Jimmy
of what
Butler downplays the ankle injury.
Yeah, he pretty much says he can't play. There's no point in bitching about it.
Yeah, not in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought he was fine. I don't think I didn't think he looked out of sorts. Whereas I thought Tatum looked like he couldn't guard anybody.
Yeah, Tatum looked out of sorts.
There was a period there where it was like, should they sit him? Like, get him out of there. Like the Heat were just picking on him, man. Just kept running him and pick and rolls. It's like he had nothing. Oof.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's.
You know what's unfortunate?
What?
That this Cinderella run that you're on has to come to an end. It's sad.
God, I was hoping it was going to be the Lakers.
I bet you were.
I'm like, fuck.
I've been on Team Nugs since Memphis went out. That's been my team, and I I don't think it looks good for you.
We don't match up well against the Nuggets.
I don't think so. Yeah, no,
We
not
do
at all.
We do against the Lakers. I think we could have beat the Lakers.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that would have been about an even series.
yeah, because LeBron, as of late, I think he even had with the Heat. He has these hot streaks where he's really hot and the team's gelling together. Then he has these cold streaks, and then when the cold streaks come, he starts complaining about things.
You know, Joe says you guys
And
are
that's
too
how you
small,
look.
and I would agree. But also, all right. So my reasoning for backing the Nugs is they are the best team in the league at getting good shots. Now that doesn't mean they make them all. They got to make them. If they miss them, the Heat can win. But like that's the thing. But they are the best at getting good shots. There's nobody better at getting good shots.
I will still say what I said when we talked about this earlier. The Nuggets still has the best player in the NBA.
Yeah,
and you can't count him out with that.
And you remember,
I feel like Jimmy is close up there. He's up there. He's showing he had that.
He's not up there.
He does.
No, I think he's definitely a tier below.
I think he's up there. The thing about
I think
Jimmy
Jokic is probably the best player in the league. It's him and Luka.
I'll go Luka, yeah.
And I think Jimmy's more like a 13 to 20 player, not a top 5 player, not a top 8 player.
Yeah, I wouldn't say top 5. I'll say top 10
8.
probably.
I don't think 10.
I think Jimmy Butler is
10
underrated. I think he's in the top.
LeBron, 10. Steph, Durant. Come on, man, 10.
I think he's in there.
I think it's too high. Now, so here's the thing. I would agree with you. When Jimmy's going, he's as good as there is.
And that's the problem.
But that's the thing that I've always said about him is unlike the other players that we just mentioned, there are nights where Jimmy just isn't going.
But to be fair,
right, he's more like Booker in that regard.
LeBron. You can make that same argument about LeBron.
No, I can't, because even when LeBron's not going, he's still 24, 8, and 6. Like a good Jimmy night is a night LeBron's not going. When LeBron's going, he gives you 38, 13, and 12. You know, like there's a difference.
Yeah, that's true. It's becoming less and less with LeBron, though. It's not the same.
He's old, man.
Yeah, he is. But
people are taking these shots at the dude. He's almost 40.
I understand that, but I don't know. I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say that take. Fuck it, I'm going to say it. How long are we going to sit here and consistently put him in this top 10?
As long as he keeps putting up numbers.
I think he's putting up good numbers.
So listen, 3 games ago, Jimmy had 16, 6, and 5. That's not a terrible night.
He got injured?
That's not. No, he played 34 minutes that game.
I'm trying to think what game was that.
Game 3.
I don't think game 3 was the game he said he got injured.
Okay, and just let's go back to New York. In game 5 against New York, he put up 19, 8, and 4. That's not a terrible game.
Those are good numbers.
Those are terrible numbers if you're LeBron James. LeBron James almost never puts up 18, 7, and 4. God, he'd be clowned on ESPN the next day if he did that.
That's a good point. That is a fair point.
And I'm not saying that Jimmy's not good. Like I said, when Jimmy's going, man, Jimmy's real good. But let's not compare him. I think you're being a little too giving, putting him on bronze level.
Maybe. Like I said, top 10.
It's a bit much.
I think he's in the top 10.
Now, when Jimmy's going, so if we take him back to Milwaukee, he had 56, 9, and 2, 42, 4, and 8, 35 and 4, 25, 3, and 3. That's, it's more like, now see, here's another thing. If LeBron went 25, 3, and 3, the Lakers would lose. He's getting clowned. 3 and 3 is not enough.
Well, when he goes more than that, they're losing. So
well, that's true too.
That's just not a good team.
I'm just saying, like, he's more involved than that, right? The team requires him to be more of a playmaker, more of a rebounder. Anyway, we're getting way off the topic. You threw me a tangent by saying he's up there with LeBron, and LeBron's not a good player anymore. LeBron at 38 is averaging 29, 8, and 6. Averaging.
That's good, but he has to.
I don't care, dude. He's shooting 50% from the floor.
He has to.
Of course, it's amazing at his age. You realize everybody he was drafted with retired 7 years ago.
But they weren't LeBron James. They weren't the physical specimen.
No, nobody is. That's the point. Nobody is. He's insane. But I don't want to turn this into a LeBron James thing because
he's not in the playoffs.
Here's the thing.
They're gone. They're done.
I don't know why Boston looked so ill-equipped to handle a zone, but I guarantee you that zone's not going to do shit against the Nuggets. I think you guys are going to have to get out of that zone. I'm just saying that. I think if you guys try to seriously play zone, Jokic is going to eat you guys alive. You're just going to leave him wide open at the free throw line? No.
I think the Heat are aware of they're going to switch it up.
Yeah, I do too. Spo's way too good of a coach.
I think so. I think they're going to be aware of that. I think we're going to have some. They can't pull what they pulled with Boston, with Denver. And what I mean by that is, he got a comfortable lead. They kind of laid off a little bit, laxed off a little bit. That's why I went to Game 7. I think they can't do that with Denver.
No,
they get
can't.
The lead. They have to keep the lead.
Well, the thing that worries me,
like they played with Milwaukee.
If I was a Heat fan, the thing that would worry me is that you've gotten here playing one way. And I think almost unanimously across the board, anybody that watches basketball thinks you can't play that way against the Nuggets. So the question is, do you keep doing what you're doing because it's the thing that's been giving you the most success, or do you try to change it up and risk that it gets even worse? Like, do they start playing man and suddenly everybody's open and like threes are coming from, everywhere, and all of a sudden it looks way worse because you just don't do it, right? Like there is an argument to be made that you're here at this point in the game, you are what you are, right? And you just go out there and do what you do and hope it's good enough.
Yeah, that's kind of a good argument.
But there's a reason that nobody plays zone in the league.
Yeah.
Because good players will beat a zone. I don't know what Jaylen Brown was doing, but real players will destroy a zone. And Jokic is going to destroy zone if they come out and play that shit.
Yeah, but they may just have to. They probably can't stop Jokic.
If they're going to play zone and try to cover everybody else, Jokic may average like 45 a game.
That's what I'm going to say. If they can contain the rest of the players, they may have let Jokic get his points because he's probably going to get his points anyway.
He is going to get his points anyway.
If they can contain the rest of the team, they might have a good shot.
Yeah, you might be right.
That's the key. If they focus too much on Jokic, that might be a problem because he's going to get his points.
But you know how this works, or I don't know, maybe you haven't. Have you watched the Nuggets play?
Yes, I have. I watched.
Okay, because here's how this works. Everybody says that, right? Jokic is such a transcendent passer, and he knows his offense. And not only does he know his offense, he knows like his guys. He knows his team. He knows where they are without looking. Like they have that kind of chemistry. Everybody says that. I'm going to stop everybody else. And then Jokic gets going, and then somebody starts cheating, and then three. And then you start playing the three, and then backdoor cut. And like he starts to pick you apart, and you start to unravel.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's not an easy thing to do. It's easier said than done, to say the least. But it's what they got to do right now. That is the plan. Unless they can figure out something else that's going to work. Unless they can turn off the AC and hope Jokic gets cramps.
They might do that. Yeah, I forgot about some of that gamesmanship. Hell yeah. Sorry, guys. Our AC's out. Just doesn't work. Also, we put oil all over the visiting team side of the court. I'm sorry, guys, about that. They spilt it. We're trying to clean it up. I think the only way to really beat the Nuggets is to outscore them. And that's the thing that I think, like if I was making bets, if I was at a sports book, that's the thing that would keep me from going for the Heat. I just don't think a lot of people focus on defense and how do you slow Denver down. And I look at the opposite. It's how do you keep up? That's why I think Phoenix had a chance because they've got guys that can go and they can get their own shots. You got to have like a team like that. That was the thing about the
defensive minded team.
It reminded me of like the Warriors, like back then when they were really going. I kept telling everybody, like everybody in Cavs land was trying to find defense. And I was like, no. We need more shooters. We have to be able to keep up. How do you keep up with them? How do you keep scoring? I don't think you can just play an ugly defense. I don't think you can like hope to win a 98-96 game against the Nugs. I don't care if you play the best defense in the league. I don't think that's enough.
It's possible, but it's going to be very hard to do that. You don't want to be in that position with the Nugs.
You got to put up 110, probably 115, every night. And that's the part that worries me about the Heat.
You don't want to be in a close game situation with the Nuggets.
They just get good shots. If they go cold, I think Miami's got a chance. But I honestly, I'd be more worried about Miami going cold. You guys have had some real good shooting the last 2 rounds. And chances, or the averages would say that at some point that'll come back to earth a little.
I'm hoping. Now, this is high hopes.
Who's that rookie guy that you guys have who's putting up 25 a game?
Oh, shit, I can't remember.
He's just shooting out of his mind.
He is playing good.
He shot 28% all season. Playoffs come. He's like Ray Allen out here. He's just making everything he's looking at. You would expect you expect that to even out at some point.
What I'm hoping is the Heat's experience in the finals helps them. Because they've been there before. Most of the players been to the finals before.
That's true.
In those high game situations.
And it does matter.
It matters. And the Nuggets
experience
have not.
Matters. Some of them have, right? Bruce Brown's been there.
Yeah, Bruce Brown. Somebody else on their team's been there.
Yeah, they've got some vets, but at the end of the day, man, I don't think it matters. But fun basketball talk for 20 minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All of our regular listeners are like, oh, God.
Well,
talk about video games.
Our regular listen, Devin Tyus is here.
Yeah, he can't be in the show, but he's here in the chat. Yeah, Jeff Green. Dev fills in.
Thank you. That's the name I was looking for.
Jeff Green's been there a bunch. Where's Jeff Green not been?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm looking forward to it. I am rooting for Denver. I think they want it more. I think Jokic deserves it more. And I'd like to see him put his kind of critics to rest.
I'm fine with Denver winning it, honestly. Wasn't fine with Boston. Because Boston fans were talking shit. Wasn't fine with New York either, because New York fans were talking shit.
I don't like Miami, but it's not a hatred. My Miami thing is more of an envy, right? Just envious of the franchise and their privilege in the NBA and their free agency destination and all that.
It's great franchise.
Yeah. And I think a lot of Cavs fans hate them because of LeBron, but I never did. I hated the ownership for not trading LeBron before he left than anything like that. But I hate Boston. I hate the Celtics so much. I don't want them to win ever. I want them to lose constantly.
Do you know how good it felt to watch them go home on their home court lose?
Yeah, it's rough times. I don't know what we got a question. So we'll talk more about that later. I don't know what they're going to do. They've got some issues that they need to address. But anyway, what have you been up to, man?
I just been playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, it's a great game, isn't it?
40 hours in.
Wow.
I'm digging it. I really am. I'm starting to see why people like it so much. And I'm appreciating elements of the game. I appreciate the discovery in it. I appreciate how, much like a lot of games, it has a little bit of every game in it that you kind of love. Like even The Witness, in terms of, whereas your average game tells you, hey, here's the story. Tears of the Kingdom tells you, now, we'll tell you elements of the story, but you got to go find it. You got to search for the story. We'll give you things. Like, perfect example. As I'm playing, I'm noticing how they give you, there's quest markers. You meet up with the person in the question, like, hey, you got to go over this area. I'm trying not to do spoilers, by the way. You have to go to this area and get some flowers or some stuff like that. Go meet up somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The map does not show you where the area is at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to actually physically go to the area and find it based off what they said.
It's such a simple change.
Yeah.
And this is, I think what you're describing, I would like to think that maybe I said this about Breath of the Wild. I don't know if I did or not, but for many years, I've always felt like that's the special thing that made Breath of the Wild, so different, is the simplest thing. Is exactly what you described. We've played so many open world games where they drop pens that you direct you to, and here are all the dots you got to go
Yes.
to. And Breath of the Wild just forced you to like look at the world. And I am a little bit surprised that we haven't seen more games really adopt that. And I think it's because, I mean, it's just game
It's an
design.
acquired taste.
They're scared.
It's an acquired taste. It
They're
definitely
scared
is.
that people will get lost and not know where to go, which is what a lot of people said about Breath of the Wild. A lot of people that didn't like Breath of the Wild say that, you know, and I think like Ghost comes to mind of a game that really felt like they looked at that idea and they were like, yeah, we can do that too. Right. And like with Ghost of Tsushima, you've got like a lot of like natural markers, you know, directing you towards things in the environment, things you have to pay attention to. If you're not paying
Yes.
attention, you could just blow by.
Yeah, and that's the thing that this game does that so well. It makes you pay attention to it.
Yeah.
It makes you pay attention to details. Makes you question yourself. Like, I enjoy the
In
fact
Assassin's
that
Creed, like how many buildings and people and things you just run by because you're just following a trail or you're just going to a dot. Right?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
this
the thing
game
that does
doesn't do
different.
that. It makes you check and figure out stuff and kind of
Plan.
go through the whole thing, plan out. Like one of the things I enjoyed about it was the fact that one of the bosses I fought, you can defeat this boss in many different ways, but you have to figure out how you want to defeat the boss. So the first way I was doing, I was like, I don't want to give, this is a cool ass boss fight. It's in the Wind Temple, I think it is.
Mhm.
I don't want to give any more details about it, but I enjoyed that fight so much. So my first way, I was trying to do like shoot arrows and stuff like that. Like this is working, but it's not working to the way I want it to work. And then I said, let me try this. And I tried something. I'm being vague because I want people to play it and experience it because it's an amazing fight to me. I love this fight. And I tried something different, and it worked so well. It made the fight so much easier, and it was fun to do. And that's one of the things I appreciate about this game. The game gives you a canvas, and it tells you, make what you want. Figure out what you want and how you want to do things. Don't ask us how to figure it out. You figure it out. There are puzzles, multiple puzzles in games where you can kind of figure it out one way, or you can figure out a completely different way, or even cheese it if you want to.
Yep.
And get the same solution. I think that's brilliant game design.
I did
It's
one
really
yesterday
cool
where it's like a Jenga puzzle. It literally is like there's like a ball at the top of like a Jenga stack, and you're supposed to like pull out the stack and get the ball and everything. And to be honest with you, I just been playing for a while and I just didn't feel like it. So I just knocked the whole stack over and just caught the ball before it fell down. I just shot a bomb at it. It blew it up. It all fell down, and I just caught the ball and I just lifted the ball up and put it in the thing to open the door. I was like, yeah, nobody's got time for this. I'm not messing with this anymore.
There was one puzzle early in the game. I think it was like in the beginning section of the game where you had to like light across the room with fire, and it was supposed to be a specific way you did it. But I had a fire arrow on me, so I just shot up the fire arrow and like, oh, yeah, that's it. Like
yeah,
2 seconds.
Again, what you're describing just reminds me of so many of my conversations about Breath of the Wild, because I mean, it wasn't just Nintendo going against the standard at the time. It was really Nintendo just being non-Nintendo with Breath of the Wild. So much of Breath of the Wild was designed as like a counter to everything they've done with Zelda before. Zelda for a long time has been very hand-holding and very directed and very linear, and go here and do this and fight this person with this weapon. Cases. Right. And like Breath of the Wild was like a rebellion against everything that they had ever done in the series. And I think from that premise is where this game was born from. But it is shocking how them following that path led them to something that's so different than what others were offering, but at the same time, just a very simple tweak away. You know, like it's not like there is revolutionary game design, like their physics and the laws of like their universe are different and way more accounted for and designed than other developers. But even outside of that, like what you're saying, the icons, the waypoints, the maps, like the way they draw your attention and try to keep your attention is very simple compared to like others could do it with minimal changes, but they just don't. And I think it's because they're scared that somebody will get lost and not know where to go. And like they they haven't spent as much time trying to figure out how to develop around that. And I think that's what happens when you're Nintendo, right? Like you have the luxury of spending 7 years being like, well, if we just don't give them any directions, how can we still help them without helping them?
Yeah. And what I realized with this game in particular is that this is a game that once I start, I can't put down.
Yeah.
Because once you get in the groove of things and
Yeah.
you understand the world, you don't want to stop and get lost and don't remember what you're doing or where you're taking place or what question you're on, because that stuff you literally can forget.
I don't want to. I never want to play this game for like 30 minutes. Like if I can't play this game for at least 2 hours, I don't want to play.
I played it, I want to say 10 hours Sunday.
Yeah. I did that last weekend. I played for 10 hours straight.
And I think I played it for like maybe 5-6 hours on Memorial Day. Yep. Because I just want to get in the groove and I want to keep playing. And there's other games I want to play, but I'm like, this is my focus. If I want to finish this game, I want to enjoy this story. Let me give it a true shot. And I think I have, and I think I'm enjoying it for that. I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying the things it goes, and I'm really enjoying the discovery and the finding things. I'll give you a good example of that. I was walking in this area, and I saw the depths. I saw like a hole to go to the depths. I'm like, another hole, because I went the first time, it wasn't that bad. So I said, you know what? Donnie keeps talking about all this cool stuff he finds in the depths. Let me go in the depths right now. I got a good amount of hearts. I got 8 hearts. I got a little bit of stamina. So let me try to go in the depths, right? And get some more stuff. I go down the hole. And as I'm going down the hole, I land on this giant ass boss creature.
Yeah, I think I know exactly. I thought that's where you were going with this. I think I know the hole. That's the funniest part about this game is you describe a moment. It's like, I know exactly where you are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I can't see because it's pitch black down there. I'm like,
right, exactly.
I like it's almost like somewhat of a cartoon where I light the light and this is giant ass monster. I'm like, oh shit. and I try to run and I'm running in all the gloom. And
yeah, because it's just dark. Yeah.
And it just straight up wrecked me.
It's like, daunting. I've said it on several podcasts already. The depths are daunting the first time you go. Like the first time you really start to explore it, because you can't see, you don't know where you're going. Like it seems hard, but I'm telling you, once you wrap your arms around that system and how that world works, it's not. It's real easy. And it's super rewarding and very fun. It's my favorite part about the game. It's like my favorite thing that Tears of the Kingdom has done to the Breath of the Wild formula is the depths.
The depths is really cool. It's really interesting. But this
it's game just a grind.
In general is fascinating.
You've got to turn the lights on. The air bike helped me a ton. Like the best thing I would tell you is build something that you can fly or drive, and then they have like those big bloom plants or whatever. Throw a couple of them on there, so when you're driving or flying around, you can see. And like once I did that, I was like, oh, here's how this works. And then I started turning lights on, and then all of a sudden you start making that world like your world. You start to become king of the jungle, and then it's really fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this game that you can do just by finding towns and moving around the world. And it's cool because there's a risk and reward for everything that you do in the game in terms of like, all right, like when I first started, I was doing a lot of shrines and getting a lot of hearts because I noticed my armor wasn't strong enough. So I wanted to get enough hearts so I could face bigger, badder enemies. But the fallback to that is didn't have enough stamina. So I was walking around like an old ass man everywhere. Every time I tried to get somewhere interesting, I couldn't go nowhere. And it would take longer to get places. Like some places would take like 35, 40 minutes. So I'm like,
I truly think one of the things that I learned, one of the things that I brought with me from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom was knowing how restricted you feel when you were so low on stamina.
Yes. It affects you so much, and it makes everything so much longer and so much harder to get to.
Yeah.
When you don't have enough stamina or batteries.
I feel like I was going to say, I feel like it's less in this game because of the machines that you can, like, moving is better in this game than Breath of the Wild, but at the same time, if you don't have the batteries to pull it off, like, you're still going to feel that. You're going to feel it when climbing. Like, it's cool that you can ascend, but you can't ascend everywhere. And like, I think the importance on stamina has been lessened, But I'm still happy that the first thing I did was upgrade another stamina wheel. Like the very first, I was like, this is not going to fly. I need at least 2. Like that to me, like that's the minimum. I need at least 2 wheels.
I agree, and you do need it because when you get in when you're in the sky and you're coming down, and you're like, oh, I don't have enough stamina to get down. I gotta kind of figure this out without using all my stamina. It matters.
You can glide. You can just
You
fall
can glide,
without
but
using your
also,
stamina.
you can fall and you can glide, and gliding also takes away your stamina.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean like
so
you can glide without using your glider.
Yes.
And that doesn't use your stamina.
That works somewhat.
Did you hear me on Shaq talk about the glide armor?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
I have it. I have it's good stuff. I have it at a low level. I need to find the fairies to upgrade that.
Yeah, and it's not that hard. You don't need much. You need, I think it's bat wings or something. Like if you go to a cave and you just like kill some bats, you should have enough. I don't know where the quest is. It's up towards the Kala region. There's a fairy up there and there's a quest. You've got to like take a cart to them so she like appears. But she'll upgrade your armor for you, and you don't need much to upgrade it, and then you just don't take fall damage at all. You just fall all the way from the sky and hit the ground. It's amazing.
That's what I need to start doing. I need to start upgrading my armor. That's going to help me a lot in this game, I think.
Yeah. And
that's
when you're
important.
Gliding without the glider, when you're just gliding with the glide armor, you move faster. So you can travel further without using the glider.
Yes. And was it one of the temples I beat? Well, I beat only one right now. Gives you a cool ability that helps with that as well. Without giving spoilers. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of
glad you're liking it.
Yeah, I'm digging it. I'm enjoying it so much that I can't play anything else. So I've just been playing that because if I feel like if I stop playing it, I'm going to forget where I'm at and forget what to do. And that's going to be a whole process of relearning that type of stuff.
I think that's a really good point. I don't think you'd forget what you're like, how to do it, but I do think I agree in the fact that like when you're playing it, you get into a groove that you're trying to do something. And like, I don't want to stop until I have that something done because as I'm moving around, as I'm seeing things, like I'm kind of taking in the environment and plotting out my next moves. And if I do take 2 days off or come back, I will forget kind of my direction, what direction I was heading in,
who you're talking to, what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So I always kind of complete things before I put it down. But I can always, you can always pick it up and come back and, start the next thing. That's never a problem.
This game it's amazing. I think it's a really well-made game. And I think that Nintendo needs to get more props for doing something this creative, especially considering how people talk about the power of the Switch and things like that and how it doesn't compare to the other two consoles, but the other two consoles aren't doing this. And I think that matters.
It's an interesting comparison when we see so many other games like Horizon, God of War, like direct sequels. They get a lot of talk about what they're not doing, or they focus like on one big improvement and stuff like that. And then here we have Tears of the Kingdom, and it's not about, textures and graphic packs and things like that. They literally are just like, no, we just like completely like remade this entire game. Like it's the game, but like now it's also Minecraft, but it's also Valheim, but it's also, it's like, what? Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom feels extremely different to me than Breath of the Wild. Like they're very different games.
They're I think so too.
In the same genre, but like I wouldn't call them like, the same or comparable. They're very different.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple people about it. I'm like, they were like, hey, should I play Breath of the Wild? I'm like, no, just go to Tears of the Kingdom. I tell them straight up,
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I would still recommend people to play Tears of the Kingdom, but I mean, it is just, I would just tell people that like, it's like a whole different kind of game. You're not going to be building, jet fighters and shit like that, flying up mountains from underground and stuff. Like it's a completely different, like, I don't know the right way of describing it. I mean, it's just very different.
Yeah. I know people who have never talked about video games, not a single time, who are messaging me about Tears of the Kingdom now. Like, oh, you do a video game podcast. They just start sending me messages about Tears of the Kingdom. Like, oh, I'm playing this game. This is amazing. Like, oh.
I'm very
I'm
interested
glad
to
that
see
you are enjoying it.
its sales because it does feel like it has reach, like it's reaching beyond. I'm getting. I have similar. I had a friend of mine who's never owned a Nintendo console ever. We worked together, and he told me he's like, I'm thinking about selling my Xbox to get a Switch, just for
Wow,
Tears of the Kingdom. That's it.
that's impressive.
You know, like he doesn't want to miss it. Like he wants to play it. I even told him I was like, there's a new Switch coming. Like if you just wait a year. He's like, I don't want to wait a year.
Just wait.
And
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like, yeah, then just go get it then. Like that's fine. If you don't want to wait, I'm not going to stop you. It's a great game. You should play it.
it
And
is.
I to his thing, we had lunch last week, so I have this like really on the top of my mind. But his reasoning was like he's in like a forum or a Discord or something else, and apparently somebody was talking to him, told him he's like it's unlike anything you've ever played before, and that's what he came to ask me because he knows I do Nintendo podcasts, and he was like, so this is what this person told me. He's like, what do you think? I was like, no, it's completely unlike anything you've played before. Somebody who's never played Breath of the Wild or like Nintendo Journal, like, yeah, this is completely different than anything you've played before.
Yes. Very, very different, very unique. A little mixture of everything, but it works so well. And like I said, me playing it now, I appreciate the non-hand holding of the game.
Which is funny because that was like your biggest complaint with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. I feel like this game kind of, I think the difference is this game kind of gave me like, hey, this happened. Go out in the world.
You like that story hook.
The story hook is bringing me in. That's it.
So here's the thing.
Just when
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Continue.
No, go ahead.
I've developed a theory. I've been holding it in. I don't want to drop it on you. Obviously, you could just tell me I'm completely wrong right now. But I've been thinking about your words. You know how I am, right? I chew on like these semantics and ideas, and I've been thinking about your words ever since 4 or 5 episodes ago when you were trying to say that. I pushed back on you, and I've been coming up with a theory. Here's the thing. I think what's happened, this would just be my guess on it. Again, you tell me if I'm just completely wrong. I think when you tried to play Breath of the Wild at that time, the games that you played and the people that you talked about games with were different. And you weren't prepared for Breath of the Wild. So it felt daunting and hard to get into. And I think the difference between Tears of the Kingdom now is maybe consciously or subconsciously, you've been talking to me for a year. You've been listening to Shaq for years. We've replayed Breath of the Wild. And I think you've entered Tears of the Kingdom with a better understanding of the game than you entered Breath of the Wild with. And I think you're just maybe slightly more accepting to what you've just described on this show is you were learning its language. I used to always explain to people when I say people, probably mean Josh and Kyle. That's a joke, but I used to, every time back when Breath of the Wild came out and people were like, I don't like this game. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I used to always, my thought when I heard that is I don't think people were willing to learn a new language. And Breath of the Wild was like learning a new language. It was a new language for Zelda. It was a new language for video games, for open world games. It was like learning a new language. And it was hard at first. But once you start to wrap your arms around how the world works and how its systems work and how you can exploit that to your favor, then it clicks. And that would be my guess on kind of what I've been hearing from you over the last few weeks.
I think it's part of that. I think the other part of that, I think the most important part is when Breath of the Wild came out, I had no one to talk about it with. So I didn't understand how things work. Like, for example, the first area you go in Breath of the Wild.
Nobody asked questions to.
Yeah. I didn't know what the fuck that was. I didn't know that was like the intro area. You can leave that area. Yeah. So I spent way too much time there, and I hated that area.
That's a part of the discovery process. It's not just what you can discover on your own. That's why I always call these games like the greatest social media games ever made. Because it's the perfect game to be like, look at this cool shit I did. Or I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody help me. It's the perfect game for that.
And that's the thing. When I first played that game, I didn't know to ask people like, hey, do I just stay in this area? I'm thinking this is the area. So when I finally figured out, oh, you got to get off this, man, I'm like, I don't want to play this shit no more. I don't spend all my time in this dumbass area. Now I'm here. And it looks cool. Like, I don't want, it just drained me.
There's people
This
that
time
like
when I'm going to
they tried to run up to the snow mountain and died, and like they do that 2 or 3
yes,
times and like, dude, F this game. Right? They weren't willing to learn its language. It's a lot to take in.
yes, it is. It really is. And I think that's what it was with the first one. I felt like I couldn't get into it. With this one, hearing you guys talk about it and hearing you guys say, no, this is how you're supposed to do it. This area is different. And then me experiencing for myself. And I think it did a little bit better with kind of guiding me along the way of like, hey, go do this stuff, go do this stuff. Now go into your world. And then my son was watching me play, and he was like, yeah, and like, when I was in the sky area, like, oh, you just jump down. Like, jump down? Like, yeah, just jump down. You'll be fine jumping in the water. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So then once I got to the ground, I'm like, okay, now it wasn't 12 hours into the game. I'm like, now I'm rocking. Now I kind of figure out what I got to do. I can go see the world. I can go kind of experience Zelda how I want to experience
and
it.
The part of me,
that's what clicked.
The reason I said what I said is there's part of me that thinks that in a different environment, you play Breath of the Wild and you have a different experience, right?
Probably,
with a different
likely,
social group,
like, hey,
with a different podcast or a different YouTube channel that you follow, like with a different resource available to you. You probably play Breath of the Wild and you're like, this is the greatest game ever.
Yeah. So if somebody was to say, hey, stupid, get off this area, go experience the game.
Yeah, I mean, just any.
Wait earlier.
And I always understood that with Breath of the Wild. I always did. Like from the get-go, I kept reminding people in Shaq, it's like, man, it's so different and it's so out of the norm for what people have experienced. I understand why there are people out there that are like, I don't like this. Because you're just not, I think there's just an unwillingness there to adapt.
Learn.
Yeah. It is a learn. You got to learn it. But once you do, I do agree that once you do, it's so worth it. It's so addictively good in a way that its comparable competitors aren't. Like that's the thing that sets it apart. Like it's different. It's way different. And those people out there are like, oh, it's just Zelda, right? Like, and I'm not saying this because I think one's better or worse or anything. I'm just saying this like-minded comparable games. Right? When people are like, like it's just because it's Zelda. If it was Horizon, people wouldn't say that. If it was, Skyrim, people would say it, but it's like, it's so different. Like it's so much different than those games. Those games are like all the other games we've played, and there's nothing wrong with them. I love those games, but this is a whole different class.
Yeah,
it's just hard to see.
Click with me a lot more. Even the whole thing, like the weapon degradation, I think it's working better now because I know the system. I know, like, hey, I find this. Let me combine this with my weapon, and hey, this makes the weapon last longer.
Yeah.
Oh, now I gotta go search for other better weapons, and then you go in the world tells you why it's happening. Like, okay.
There's even
I'm digging that. Now I'm into the world.
There's even there's ways to repair weapons.
I have not got that yet. I heard you talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, what I talked about on Shaq, there's a guy that you can go to that will defuse weapons. That's a little bit different than what I'm talking about. There's enemies in this game. There are enemies in this game that like suck, like they suck air, kind of like Kirby, and then they like shoot rocks at you, like they spit out at you, right? If you find one of these enemies, they're around. They're not hard to find. Mostly in like the mountain areas. If you find one of these enemies,
something I can't remember.
Yeah, you got it. If you throw your weapon that's about to break, it could be anything, a shield, a sword, a bow, you throw it in front of them. They suck it in. It will spit it back at you, and it'll be brand new.
Holy crap!
Yeah, like you can do things to exploit the rules of the game. And not cheese. I mean, like literally, you are just using the laws of the world to your advantage. Just like is no different than like if there's a thunderstorm, you can throw something metal at an enemy and let the lightning kill it for you. Like I've
done that before.
Yeah,
that cool.
It's the same thing as that. For everything that happens in the game, it's like for every action that exists in the world, there is like an opposing action that you can take advantage of. And it's that balance that makes it. That's what I've been saying for years. It's the balance of these systems, these mechanics, these elements. I think the best way of saying these elements that this world has: gravity, wind, electricity, fire, frost. That's the stuff that I don't think I've ever experienced in another game.
it's an amazing experience, and like I said, I'm really enjoying my time with the game. It's really fascinating just walking around. I'm even doing the dumb silly things, finding all the Deku
Yeah.
things and all that stuff.
Have you
And
done
I'm
the
just
Hudson
finding them in
puzzles?
random places. No, I have not.
You've seen the guy? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, it's about the guy who's putting up the
The
signs.
signs? Yeah.
That punk motherfucker tried to get me killed.
you gotta build something to help his signs stay up.
I've done a lot of those. They're great.
Yeah, he gives you stuff. He gives good stuff. Gives you meals and stuff.
Gives you meals and gives you some money and all that stuff.
Jack was making fun of me. I think I'm up to like 13 or 14 hearts now. But then I have a recipe that I've been making that gives me 16 bonus hearts.
Oh, that's really good. I might need to get that recipe from you.
Yeah, it's not too hard. And I've been using, so Jack came down the other night and I just had all these yellow hearts. He was like, what in the world? I was doing one of the temples and he was like, you're so overpowered for this. I'm like, don't worry about me. Play your own damn game. This is how I like being overpowered for this game. This is how I want to play the game. I don't want to barely survive.
That's why I'm
not trying to play Dark Souls.
As soon as I got to the code area, they were selling a coat. I'm like, let me get that coat. I'm not cooking jack. How much is it? I'll take it.
It's awesome.
Immediately.
It's awesome.
Like, it is.
Well, I've also been playing Tears of the Kingdom. I've done 3 dungeons. And instead of going to the 4th one, I've decided to start doing the memories instead. So I don't know how many I've ticked off. Cool. I ticked off, if I had to guess, 5 or 6 or something like that. I don't know how many there are. So I'm going to keep, but I think I'm going to focus on that for a little bit. And then yesterday, I thought I decided to do I'm going to do that. And then I think before I go to the last dungeon, I guess I'm going to try to figure out how to get the sword. Jack's got the sword already. So he keeps showing me the damn sword. Yeah, and I'm like, well, I should probably do that soon, I guess. I think I could just beat the whole game without it, but I should probably get the sword. So
I don't want to spoil that, but I read something about it. And
I haven't read anything about it. I literally don't know anything about the sword.
That's another thing about this game. Looking up the guides, sometimes the guys tell you like spoilers like you don't want to hear, like, shit.
So the guide that I use, and I don't know if you know that this exists or if it'll help you, it's maybe different.
I guarantee you I don't.
Okay, the guide that I use that you can look up, and there's multiple versions of it. I always use Zelda Dungeon. I mean, I think that's like the best resource for any Zelda fan ever. But there are Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom interactive maps.
Oh.
That you load like a map viewer, and it'll just have like all the icons on it and stuff. And
that can be helpful.
You can click on like a shrine, and usually they have like a link to like a YouTube tutorial or something, like if you're really stuck. So when I get stuck, I load up the interactive map and just look at that. That's the guide that I use.
That's great. I was using it. I was like going to YouTube and finding things like for shrines, stuff like that.
I like the map because it stops me from doing what you're doing, right? As you just Google and you're just like, you're at the mercy of whatever shows up in front of you to be like, you're like, how do I solve this shrine? And it's like, here's the ending to Breath of the Wild. It's like, I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen. So,
and then there was one YouTube video I looked up when a guy from showed me how to solve the shrine, right? And I'm following along with him, and then he fucking dies. So I just died like, why didn't you like edit that out?
He's like, don't do this.
What you're doing.
That's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
Why do you edit that out? Follow your lead.
Yeah, so if you may want to do it. It might show you some stuff. You might see some stuff. I usually it's how I found all the towers at first. Right, you can filter the map. So I was like, show me all the towers. The first thing I did was get stamina and then towers. I was like, I got to unlock the map. Yeah. So I went and found all the towers. I did the Far Cry thing. Go do all the towers.
And I like how they do the towers, by the way. I like that it's just not necessarily always they just go up to it and you open it up.
Oh, no. Yeah. They usually come with their own quests.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Yep. It's a great game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm still playing it kind of at my own pace. I told Rebecca, I get the sense that like video gaming community is like ready to move on. Because when I see, like when I open my YouTube, the stuff that I'm kind of seeing, is like, my final thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom, final review on Tears of the Kingdom, post game and Tears of the Kingdom, the ending, like that's the stuff that I'm kind of seeing, especially on like Reddit. So I'm getting the impression that people are like just ready to, like, they're done. They've completed it. They're ready to keep going. And I just feel like I'm so far away from that I'm trying to resist it. You know,
Are Nintendo fans asking where the games are at now? Are they messaging you saying, "Hey, where all our games at? We have nothing to play."
That I haven't seen. And that's what Rebecca said. She's not seeing that, and she's like way more Nintendo centric than I am. So I'm honestly thinking, I think I'm seeing more of it from like a casual side than I think the Nintendo fans, honestly, I think are like me. I think we're like, I'm going to play this game for the next 6 months. Whereas I think everybody else is like, I got to get ready for Diablo.
I got to get ready for the E3.
Yeah,
I got to get ready for other games I'm not going to play. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to stay out of that stuff so I don't see any of it. So that's why I feel like I could know a lot about this game and tell people a lot about based on what I've played. But in the other aspects, there's very little. I don't know anything about the Master Sword. I don't know where it is. Great. The only thing I know is that I found a stone in a cave that told me that the magical sword, which I'm assuming that's what they're talking about, has been moved. Like I have a clue. Like it's been moved somewhere. I'm like, oh, I don't know what that means. And Jack's like, you want me to tell you? I'm like, absolutely not. Just come here ruining my Zelda childhood. The fuck out of my basement.
I found a thing, because I didn't know this happened. There's story moments where there's something in the game that you can walk to and talk to. They'll literally take a heart from you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't expect that to happen. And I was mad as hell when I found that. I'm like, can I kill this thing? Like, the fuck?
I think I felt similarly the first time it happened to me in Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Like, let me show you something. Like, oh, what do you mean? No, that's not what you should be doing.
In Breath of the Wild, people figure out how to glitch that to get extra hearts and extra stamina.
Oh, okay.
I have not seen anything like that in Tears of the Kingdom yet, but in Breath of the Wild, people figured out how to glitch that system.
Yeah.
Jack took advantage of it. I remember he like replayed it one time, and before he had like, I don't know, 8 shrines done, kid had like 20 hearts. I was like, what? So, yeah.
Great game.
It was like a recent glitch in Breath of the Wild. It wasn't like early. I think somebody figured that out like 2 years after Breath of the Wild came out. Somebody figured that out.
I feel like, because we're already close to it now, I feel like I'll be probably playing this and maybe Street Fighter.
That's probably a good
Street Fighter like 10 minutes.
That's probably a good pair. Yeah.
Yeah. I can play Street Fighter for like 30 minutes and get back to Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I don't have a timeline on it, you know, like that's the thing that I'm real happy. Like I'm not trying to rush to the end. I'm like, I'll get there whenever I get there. I told Rebecca I'm a little concerned, not concerned, but I'm a little worried that maybe like I feel like when I complete this 4th dungeon, I think the game is going to be like, and here's something else to do. Breath of the Wild didn't do that. Breath of the Wild was like, you complete the 4th dungeon, now go kill Ganon. Like, I don't want that to happen. So if you're seeing like already, right? Like I've already done the 3 dungeons. So what am I doing now? It's like, well, let's go do some other, like, and now I'm trying to prolong it. You know, like I don't want to go to that 4th dungeon because I don't want to already be nearing the end. There's still so much I haven't done yet.
I get that, because when they lay those things out for you, it's like, okay, these quests are long enough, and with the side quests, it feels like once I finish these quests, we're gonna probably be getting into the end game. Like I said, I'm 40 hours in.
Yeah, I'm not ready to get into the end game, so I'm probably gonna hold that dungeon off a little. But I really do feel like when I think there's probably something else there. You know,
maybe
Jack hasn't got that far yet, so he hasn't told me. I even told him that. But like just knowing how different this game is than Breath of the Wild, I kind of would be shocked if they followed that format. They changed everything else, but they left that the same. That doesn't seem like that checks out to me. There's got to be something else.
Yeah.
I think you're going to beat those 4, and then they're going to be like, now go do this other thing.
Yeah. Or go down in the depths and do the same thing.
Exactly. Like there's got to be another temple or a dungeon, or got to go quest something, chart something. Zelda loves doing that shit. You know, we're talking about Wind Waker. They love getting you to the end and then giving you all new shit to do. So I think there's something else there. We'll find out. We'll find out eventually.
Yeah. I'm excited for it, though. It's great.
So far, so good. I'm not ready to be done yet. I have had a great week. Memorial Day. grilled steak, smoked steak. We made fish for the rest of the family, and we had a nice meal. I watched Sisu, which I loved.
Oh, was
Pretty
good.
incredible. You can rent from home now. I just bought it, and I saw the trailer when I saw John Wick, and I was like, oh, I got to go see this movie. This movie looks great, and yeah, I can confirm it's great. I really enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
I'm preparing for my ally. We're getting very, very close now, just about 10-ish days, 12-ish days away. So I've got my SD cards, and I've got my dock, and I've got my SSD. I got this cool Steam Deck dock that I'm going to hook into my TV. So I'm excited about that. It's going to take the place of where my Switch dock used to be. I've just had like this empty space in my entertainment center because I moved my Switch dock to the PC. And I'm going to put it over there. So if I want to sit in the chair and play PC games, I can just go sit in the recliner and do it. I don't have to play here if I don't want to at the desk.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm real excited about it. It's pretty cool. The dock has an M2 slot in it, like the PS5.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
So I can put the the Ally in the dock and then have a terabyte of extra storage and play docked.
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
And it's the Steam dock?
Yeah, it was made for Steam Deck, but it's just a USB-C dock, right? You can use on anything. Use on tablets or Chromebooks, but it was made for Steam Deck, so it just works for the Ally. And it's, it's designed so you sit it in the cradle and the cord reaches just far enough to plug it in, and it's kind of hidden and all that. It's nice. It's nice. So I'm excited about it. Okay. I'd show it to you, but I already wired it in over there.
And you said it has an M2 drive in it?
Yeah, the dock does. You pop the top off and you slide an M2 drive in it. And then whenever you plug into the dock can access the drive.
You might need to send me that.
Okay, I will. It wasn't that expensive. To be honest with you, man. It was like $50.
Yeah, I might have to cop that.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, right? I saw it in a YouTube video and I was like, this is neat. I need this. And yeah, it's got other IO too, right? You can have you can wireless monitor, keyboard, mouse. It's got other stuff you can plug into too. But I got it maybe for that docking situation.
Okay, I like that. That's dope.
Yeah. Carpal's here. The last thing I want to talk about, and I just want to say it quickly because God, we're already at the hour mark, is I have been just kind of feeling like there's been moments I've played so much Breath of the Wild. How many hours are you in?
40.
I think I'm almost double that. So I've been playing quite a bit. There have been a few times where I've just wanted to play something else. I've been playing some NCAA and some PGA and stuff like that. So I've been looking around, trying to think of kind of like you are Street Fighter, like what's another game that I can kind of pair with this? I do not know if I have picked a good one or not, but here's what I have bought. Is I've bought some Warhammer games.
Okay.
This is a series that I don't understand. I find it very complicated.
It is.
Over the years,
a lot of lore to it.
Over the years, listeners have probably heard me ask, usually Josh, about these games a lot because I've always been interested, but I've just never really thought they were for me. And I think it's because I just didn't really understand the series, and I still may not, but I think I've got a grasp on it. So what started this is right now, if you go to the Steam store, there is a Warhammer store sale going on. Everything Warhammer is on sale right now.
There's always a Warhammer sale.
Right, but the entire franchise is on sale right now.
Okay, that's great.
So I did some digging and I looked around, and if our board game friends want to correct me, they can let me know if I have this wrong, but I think I got this down. So Darktide and Vermintide are like the Left 4 Dead clones. Those are the ones that I've always I've seen, but I've never tried because as I understand them, they're multiplayer. You can play them solo, but they're not meant to be played solo. And
correct.
I think they are like those games that there are a lot of games that you can play solo, right? But you shouldn't. And I think those games are like these. I know you can play with bots and stuff, but I don't think you should. And the reason I'm reading this off is because, dude, there are 1,000 Warhammer games.
Warhammer is very popular.
And if you go to any store and you type it in, there's so many options. It's a big thing I've never really had a hard time understanding because every game gets 1,000 DLCs. There's 1,000 DLCs and 1,000 expansions, and there's 50 damn games. So Crossbane and Inquisitor are action RPG Diablo likes.
Yes. I have Inquisitor.
Okay. Space Hulk is like the RTS, like Space Hulk and like or hang on, nope, I think I even got this wrong. Dawn of War is the RTS.
Yes.
And then
That's correct.
Space Hulk is more like the board game. It's like a traditional tactics, like turn-based board game, kind of like.
Okay.
And then Space Marine
right now.
is the single-player Gears of War like shooter.
I have that one as well.
Have you played it?
I have not played it yet. Somebody told me to get that one.
So there's a new Space Marine game coming out probably next year. But it's like it was announced at the Game Awards like last year. Not sure, you may not remember if you weren't into it, but there's a new Space Marine game with Space Marine 2 or something coming out. So because of the sale and because I'm kind of in the mood, just, I'm not going to like beat every one of these games. I may not beat any of these games, but like, I just want to kind of dabble with something while I'm playing Zelda.
Try a little bit.
Yeah. Just do something new. And because they're on sale, I spent $20 and I picked up like Space Marine and Dawn of War and one of the RPG Diablo games. I'm not sure which one. I think it's Inquisitor. But like either Inquisitor or Chaos Bane. And I'm just going to try those games. Like the Gears of War game apparently is like from a decade ago.
Okay.
I never knew that game back then. It came out on consoles, like 360 or something like that. I never knew it was a thing. So I'll probably play that first because it does look Gears of War-ish, and that's like right down my alley. And then if I like that, then I'll probably try the Diablo-like. I'm not usually into Diablo-like games, but I'll try it, and then I'll probably play the RTS games because I am into RTS games.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna try some Warhammer, and yeah, it's on sale. I picked up 3 or 4 Warhammer games. Do I think I'm total? I think it's like $25. So I was like, this is a piece of cake. I'll give them a try, and then who knows if I like it, then I'll play the sequel.
Okay.
Good times.
Before we move on, I want to ask you a question, Donnie.
Let's do it.
I probably should ask Josh this from board video games, but have you ever heard of a board game called Final Girls?
Yeah, Josh has had it. They've talked about it. You definitely should talk to them about it.
I just got it. I got the core box today.
That's the one you can play solo, right? You can play it by yourself.
That's why I got it.
Yep.
The core box doesn't come with the full game. You have to get like they have like add-ons. You get like the specialized stories and stuff like that. And a buddy of mine is playing it right now. He's telling me I should definitely get into it. And then like tell like different stories. Like there's one like that has like a Nightmare on Elm Street story. So I got that one that's coming in this week. And it's so much stuff that comes with this thing. Like you can get the figures and stuff. I'm gonna get into it.
I love this.
This game looks cool.
See, that's the scary part is I have bought 10 board games because Josh and Kyle have been like, Donnie, you'd like this. And I don't play any of them and never have. Like I play them all once. I usually find it to be a frustrating experience just playing them once. Like there's so many rules and things you got to learn. You're trying to read it off things or like watch YouTube tutorials. Like I don't have the patience for board games is what I've learned.
This is the one I think I would get into because it's single player.
Yeah, they've told me this all the time.
Since I don't have to play with anybody or talk to anyone, I can play by myself and just set it up.
They tell me this every one of them is the one I need to. They're trying to tempt me now. They keep sending me this Metal Gear, and I'm like, damn it, I am not going to buy another board game.
Is it single player?
I don't know. Probably not. But it looks really hard. It looks cool. There's like Metal Gear figures. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Yeah. But I don't know how to do the rest of this stuff.
Yeah, if I have to involve my family, it's not happening at all.
But yeah, I've got a stack of board games now that we've played once. Usually end up yelling at each other over. I spent way too much money on that giant golf game. I only played it once. And you'd think it'd be right down my alley. It's just, it takes so much to set up and everything. I'm like, I'll just play a video game.
Yeah, video games are usually easier.
I'm just simple, man. I'm just a simpleton who likes being alone and quiet. I don't want to play with my kids or my wife.
That's why I want a single player board game.
That makes sense.
I don't want to be left alone.
And see, here's the sad part though, is I think if I bought a single player board game and played it, my wife would be offended. She'd be upset. You're playing a board game without me? That would be a whole different argument. Oh God, it's funny. All right,
Yeah.
we gotta move the show along. Let's get into the news.
Oh my god, okay. This is what I wanted, okay? This is the pastels. And this is what I got.
That is of my own
Wow.
creation. After seeing the Project Q, I was inspired to do that TikTok, and I love it.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And TikTok is very good. Okay, so this news came out last week after we recorded, but apparently Naughty Dog has delayed Factions.
Oh yeah.
Factions is just delayed, if not canceled. So Naughty Dog posted a tweet. It's like the standard tweet that we all make fun of, like, hey, we've got something to tell you and things aren't going that great and blah, blah, blah. And then immediately after they posted that tweet, Bloomberg via Jason Schreier had an article that went up breaking down several things about what they've learned about the game. And quote, Bungie's raised questions about Bungie, like the Destiny Bungie, the developer, raised questions about The Last of Us multiplayer's project's ability to keep players engaged for long periods of time, which has led to the reassessment on Factions. Bloomberg says The Last of Us multiplayer game has not been canceled, though development has been scaled back while the company, quote, reevaluates its direction. Many of its developers have been moved onto other projects, and a small group remains while Sony reevaluates. In the blog post or the tweet blog post, Naughty Dog also did throw in a little. We're working on a new single player thing to kind of, I guess, soften the blow.
Yeah. We had a conversation about this on PSXP. Yeah, I think people are saying it's going to be canceled. I don't think it's going to be canceled. I think it's going to be.
Okay, let me ask you this then. If they just move it to the next game, whatever that is, let's just say
yes.
The easy thing would be like it's a Last of Us 2, PS5 release, or just The Last of Us 3, right? Yes. If they just attach it to another game release years down the road, is it canceled?
I would say no.
See, and I would say yeah, because like Factions, like the promise of what Factions is supposed to be, isn't that. Like that's just a multiplayer mode, right? It's not a game. It's not standalone. It's not a service. It's not constantly evolving and living and breathing like it was intended to. That's just Last of Us 3 multiplayer.
Yeah, that's true. Well, riddle me this, Batman. Would you pay $70 for the Factions that they were trying to give us?
No, I always thought that was a tough sell.
And I think that's the problem. They're starting to realize, like, it's good. It may be great, but is it $70 great?
I always thought they'd launch it free to play and throw it in like PlayStation Plus and stuff like that. I thought they would launch it at a discount. I thought they would have a physical version you could buy that had, was fluffed up and had extra costumes and t-shirts and things like that. But I thought the game as a service would launch like free to play or maybe $20 or something like that.
I think that they were fully planning on coasting on the Last of Us name and charging full
and launching
price
a $70 service game.
A $70 Last of Us service game.
Well, then you better come correct. It better be the best damn multiplayer game ever.
And I think that's why Bungie was like, I don't think you should do that. Like,
yeah,
it's good.
That normally doesn't go well. Battlefield. It's normally not a smart plan. Doesn't mean it can't be done.
I think that's what they were trying to do.
But
now, to be fair, I think it would have been well made. I think they would have probably had a whole story to it. Like, hey, there's a story mode in this. Just don't think it's like just there. I think it'll be very high production, Sony level production, but it's gonna be a service game that you're gonna pay $70 for.
Yeah, it's me not being, the PlayStation centric personality in our little group of misfits. I'm most interested in knowing. I mean, Sony said this when they bought Bungie, that this was going to be kind of a big reason that they bought them. They said that when they bought them, it was a justification for buying Bungie. So, I mean, I give them kudos for apparently committing to what they said. That wasn't fluff. They were being serious. It seems like Bungie has some sort of leadership role when it comes to what PlayStation is doing on the live service front. And desperately want to know how the people at Naughty Dog feel about that, because I imagine that the people at Naughty Dog that have been working on factions for 3 years is like, go fuck yourselves. We're Naughty Dog.
Yeah, that could possibly be a thing. But frankly speaking, they might have dodged the bullet.
They may have. Yeah.
They may have, because Naughty Dog has such prestige behind it. If it was to release something that would be considered less than stellar, people would have a field day with it.
If Factions was its Redfall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if Factions was a 7.5 out of 10,
oof,
people would be
maybe.
And that's not even a bad score.
But here's the other thing. If they just launched, let's just say it's a modern version of what Factions was, I think people would be stoked. Not gonna lie to you. People love Factions. Not a lot of people, but the people that love Factions love Factions.
And that's the problem. The second part. Not a lot of people. That's the problem. They want a lot of people to love this.
Yeah.
And I don't
might
think
be
a lot
the
of people
hard
get
part.
into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But just to pull
There's
the
a
plug.
dedicated audience for Factions, but
just to
not
pull the
enough
plug, though.
Yeah, that's rough.
It is interesting. I don't have a whole lot to say on this outside of I always kind of felt like Factions was just something for them to do while they work on their next project. But at the same time, I've always been a bit perplexed that they would want to do this. Naughty Dog doesn't do live service games. They don't do multiplayer. Like, do they have multiplayer in some games? Sure, but is that what they do? Is that their strength as a studio? Absolutely not. I think this might be a sense of like feature creep, right? Like they should have just made a Last of Us 2 multiplayer mode. And then what I think happened is Sony has changed direction recently, where they were wanting to adopt more live service things. That's publicly stated, right? So I think at some point somebody saw the multiplayer for Last of Us, saw where it was going, and thought, hey, this could be its own thing, as opposed to just giving it away with Last of Us 2. And I think like feature creep may have crept in here. And they're like, no, we'll just separate it. We'll do it standalone. We'll do our own thing. And that probably excited the people at Naughty Dog. They're like, we can add all this new stuff into it. We can make it bigger. And I think this may have just been like, it may have gotten out of hand.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that sounds very accurate. Like this just got out of hand over their heads, essentially, because like I said.
Yeah, and I think they totally could have pulled what they envisioned off. But like you said, right? It just started as a multiplayer mode for Last of Us 2. And then they're like, we're going to spin into their own game. And then here comes Bungie. And they're like, yeah, but that's not like a $70 game though.
Yeah.
And
that's
the
problem.
Sony people are probably like, oh.
Yeah. It's good, but it's not a $70 game that's going to be substantial for years to come. It's not Destiny.
I always thought they'd launch it free to play. I mean, that was always my thing. I thought they would launch Factions free to play, very like microtransaction heavy, and they would launch it on PC and PlayStation at the same time.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I thought it'd be a great platform to try to like get people into The Last of Us, to buy the game, to buy the other games, But honestly, if that's what they were thinking then, which is what I was thinking then, they don't need that now. Yeah. HBO has done that for them.
Tenfold.
Yeah. So
I would have thought if they would have made it free, would have been good to be like, hey, you're gonna get this on PlayStation Plus.
I think I talked about this with Kyle, and that's what I was thinking. I was thinking they launch it in Plus, but like everywhere else, it's like $30, right? Yeah. And it comes with like a battle pass and like some cosmetics and some things of an emblem for your character or whatever. That's what I was thinking. I never thought they were trying to sell this for $70. And if they were, I might agree with you.
I think they were. I think they.
You might be right, man. They tried selling everything else for
Sony. Exactly. Sony has lost sense of reality. They're trying to sell everything overpriced.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. Yeah, and that would be a tough sell. Some games are coming out, so we've had some reviews, and I'll just read some of the aggregate scores. So Street Fighter 6 is releasing to the whopping aggregate score of 92.
Impressive.
One of the higher. What a year Capcom is having. Right? Like if you're Konami,
Stellar
you've got to
year.
be looking at Capcom. You're like, what the? Capcom is killing it over here. Diablo
that's why we gotta
5
get back in the game.
reviews just came out today, and aggregate score the last time I checked when I wrote the notes was 89.
That's impressive.
Yep.
That's
so
great.
Blizzard's crushing it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, Gollum came out last week, and its aggregate score is a 40.
Woo.
Apparently,
That's an F.
it's real bad. So bad that Daedalic, Daedalic posted an
Entertainment, yeah.
apology. Like, we're sorry we released this terrible game.
Yeah.
You know, a lot has been said about this, and typically I'm very, like, just pro developer, defend developers at all costs. It does feel like maybe we're getting a little bit too many of those apologies lately, doesn't it?
Every month.
Yeah, it's like it's becoming a trend. It's like, this isn't a good trend, guys. We need to stop. Okay? Like, it's a bit much.
Yeah, we need to,
one or two here and there.
Yeah,
We're all very forgiving. We get it. But come on.
every month we're having a No Man's Sky situation.
Yeah, it's like you're pushing your luck a little bit
Right,
here.
every month. Our
Jeez.
bad. We promised to fix the game for you. No.
Yeah,
give us
like
the
Redfall.
game.
Yeah, we promise to fix it and never hear from them ever again. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, like, how about instead of apologizing, how about you just don't release the game? Just delay it.
Yeah. Just delay it.
Man, games get delayed all the time. Why not just delay it?
You would think that's just that easy. Just delay it.
I haven't
Don't
played
put
it, but I'm
this out.
going to. I'm going to play it
I am
one
too.
day.
Once it gets like $20 or
Yeah,
Game
same.
Pass, something like that,
I'm going to play Gollum
Yeah.
one day.
I'll try.
Yeah. We got Game Pass updates. So out now, you can play Chicory or Far World Pioneers. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, by the day it's come out, you can play Car Mechanic Sim, Slayers X. What is it? Slayers X? Oh, that's too much to read. And The Big Con. On the 6th, you can play Amnesia the Bunker and Hypnospace Outlaw. On the 8th, you can play Rune Factory 4 and Stacking. Dordawn comes on the 13th. Games with Gold this month is two games I've never heard of, Adios and The Veil. And I did throw in here, there's a reminder that Super Mega Baseball 4 just came out. And then on the 13th, F1 2023 come out. And the reason I throw those in there is those games have trials on EA Play, which is part of Game Pass. So if you've got EA Play or Game Pass, don't forget that you can play Super Mega Baseball 4, which Brendan's playing and loves, and I think Seth's playing as well. And F1 2023 is around the corner.
That's great.
Not a great month for Game Pass, but also I'm not expecting, like, they're about to do a showcase. So
Yes,
they're
we'll
probably
get
holding
some
back
stuff
a
in.
couple. They're holding back a few things. I wouldn't expect this update, to be the big one. They're going to hold that for the show, I imagine.
would think
PlayStation
so.
Plus, on the other hand, for June has been revealed, and you're getting NBA 2K23, Jurassic World Evolution 2, and Trek to Yomi.
Those are some solid games.
Those are some solid games, and those are your essential free games, right?
Yes.
Those are the PlayStation essential games for next month. Those aren't the non-essentials. So everybody gets 2K23, which is excellent. And I've never played Jurassic World, and Trek to Yomi I thought was pretty mid.
Yeah.
Still a cool looking game.
Did we-
Like, if you're interested in the look, you should still try it.
Yeah, I think so. Did we talk about the Alone in the Dark demo that's out now?
No,
Starring
but I
David
played
Harbour?
it. I'm glad you reminded
What did
me,
you
but
think?
I played it. It's only like 5 minutes. It's not much.
Okay.
You basically
Later.
complete like a couple puzzles and like walk downstairs, and that's it. It looks good.
Okay.
It feels like, so I played Alone in the Dark on 360, and I don't remember much about it because I didn't think it was all that memorable at the time.
Alone in the Dark, the one you played was probably Inferno. That's the one that came out on 360 and play it.
I just remember I played it on 360. I remember I never played Alone in the Dark back in the day, like in the 90s.
I did a lot of it.
And when it came back, I remember it coming back because I was more into video games then. And it came back and everybody's talking about it. And I got it on 360, whatever it was at the time. And they were talking about the franchise from the 90s. And it's horror. And I love horror and Silent Hill and all that. So I got it and played it. And I don't remember, dude, it's been 20 years. I don't particularly remember much about it at all. Outside of it just wasn't very memorable. I think I
It
played
wasn't
it
great.
and turned it back in, right? It was just
Yeah.
one of the many games that came across. Like, what did we used to have? Like Lost, was it Lost World and stuff like
Yeah.
that? Like we used to have a bunch of just kind of horror games like that. It didn't stick with me. So
Yeah. This one, to what I've seen of it so far, looks like it's going back to the return of its root to the original Alone in the Dark series, where it's kind of set in this older time, like the 1800s, something like that.
it feels
Whereas
very, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's
the
definitely got like
Victorian era, I think.
it's
The
got like a,
1900s.
yeah, it's very like Lovecraftian, but like kind of like Dick
Yes.
Tracy kind of noir stuff.
Yes. Whereas the one that was on the 360 was pretty much in modern times. It was like a remake almost,
Okay, cool.
which was cool, but it was like
I didn't, yeah, I don't, like I said, I just don't remember much about it. I don't remember if I liked it
Very-
or not.
it was a solid 6. You know,
That's
I enjoyed
Probably
it.
like why I don't really remember it. It was just
Yeah.
like a lot of games that I played. So like at the time, back then, right? Dead Space was out. I was playing Fear. It was a great time to be a horror fan. I remember
Fear was great.
Manhunt. You know, like there are horror games that I remember and love, and this was supposed to be one of them, and I didn't, and that's why I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you're right. All the games you named are really good horror games.
Yeah,
This
and I
was
remember
not one of
playing this one or that one and being like, this isn't that good. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it did play the prologue. It does look pretty good. Felt like kind of walking simish. It looks good. It's got the dude from Stranger Things, which is kind of cool. I look forward to playing it. I'm not like ready to buy it or pre-order or anything like that. And I'm still hesitant. I'm still on the fence about it.
It's going to have a rough time because I think it comes out October 25th. There's a lot of games put on October.
Yeah, there
horror
are.
Games.
And so you've
That's
got
a bad time
Alan
to
Wake.
release that. Yeah.
With what, Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Sam Lake. See him? Yeah, so I'll be playing that, but I'll be playing Assassin's Creed. So yeah. I mean, Alone in the Dark was always going to be like a budget option for me. Unless it came to like Game Pass or something, right? I was never going to drop $60 for
That's
Alone
a
in the
good game
Dark.
to go to Game Pass.
It would be, which you're kind of foreshadowing something I had prepped for later.
Okay.
I do have an update on the Xbox versus the CMA. So they had a case briefing 2 days ago, and I've just got a little wrap up here. Ultimately, here's what you need to know: the hearing has been set for the 24th of July, like that week. So they're going to have the actual case then. This is the only notable thing that really came from this because the CMA wanted to push the hearing into the autumn, like late fall, to which Xbox rejected because that would put the deal in jeopardy. They can't wait that long.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. So I followed a Reddit thread about this from a competitive law attorney, right? So, but you know, who knows with Reddit and Twitter, who knows who's behind the wheel, but person seemed to know what he was doing. And he has like it was a legal Reddit. So like these people seem to know what they're doing. And from their transcripts and their read, and they shared some clips and stuff, their big takeaway was that it seemed like the CMA was very ill prepared to defend their own ruling. They just kind of got caught in a bunch of like catch 22s or like just kind of got caught with their pants down on a couple of occasions. That was a little weird. I guess if you were trying to follow it from a legal standpoint, they were a little like, whoa, like I thought they'd be a little more ready for this. Cause apparently Microsoft came to work. Their attorneys came like, no, we're not doing any of that. We're not doing this in the autumn. We're not doing this when you want. We're not having as long as, you know, like they wanted like extra time to prep and all this. And the judge really, you know, like he was very fair on both sides. I think he was very neutral. But, you know, like the points that Microsoft made on several of the things, the judge did side with. So they wanted to wait very long. Microsoft was like, you can't do that. One, it jeopardizes the deal. Two, you've been working on this for like 2 years. You know, it's like, how much more time do you need? And to which the judge was like, yeah, that's a good point. And then there are other things that I don't even really need to get into. There's disclosures and things that Microsoft wants to know more about how the CMA came to their reasoning, specifically if they spoke to other regulators, citing the FTC and others if there was like outside intervening, which the CMA is supposed to disclose and they haven't, and it looks like they'll be made to do so. So yeah, but the official hearing will be late July, and that'll be the next time we have news from either. Microsoft also
Hopefully they get this.
Go ahead.
Get this wrapped up. Hopefully they get this wrapped up soon.
It's not going to be soon. And I know everybody says that. It's not going to be soon. They're going to have a hearing and they're going to have deliberations. And then again, if the judge approves the appeal, then it goes back to the CMA. Right? So like, just because the judge is like, yeah, this is a good case, that doesn't mean it's over. It goes back to the CMA, and they could just be like, no, we still don't approve the deal. I'm starting to come around though, that I don't think that's going to happen, because since the CMA blocked it and everything else has happened, one of the things that's come out is that like there are top folks in the UK, like the Prime Minister's talking about this. He's like, yeah, I don't want to intervene to the CMA's things. He's like, but like you can see it in like public statements. He's like, but I think they need to reconsider everything that's going, like when you start hearing things like that, I'm like, oh yeah, there's some high-ranking people that aren't happy.
Like, hey, you fucking up.
Yeah, that's exactly how that reads. Like, yo, get your shit together. That's exactly. Yeah. I think anybody that's worked in government knows how, politely people spin stuff like that. I can only imagine what's being said, off the record. So I'm starting to come around that maybe if Microsoft wins the appeal, it goes back to the CMA, that maybe the CMA will have a bit more pressure to find a constructive, settlement agreement with Microsoft to let this go through, make another thing. Like I said before, maybe, lock in the Game Pass price, or something like that, make another concession that Xbox has to jump through to get the deal done. But I don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. I'm excited to talk to you about this one. We're going to get into our headlines. We'll speed it up here a little bit. Silent Hill Ascension got a new trailer that I shared with you.
Looks great.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm looking at. Do you?
Not at all.
So it's an interactive streaming series. Not like a television series, not like Netflix. Like, it's going to be a game, I think, that we're all going to play and buy, I think. But then how we all play it, I guess, in real time will change episode to episode, I think.
Yeah. That's what it looked like.
Apparently they've released other things like this, just not like, I guess, with Silent Hill, and not like on Xbox or PlayStation, I guess. There's not a whole lot of details. The reason I keep saying I guess, because I looked at the website and there's just not a lot of concrete information on how this is going to work. And I'm not familiar with their previous works, but yeah, that's my read on it from having dug in, for 10 minutes. But it looks cool. Like the trailer looks cool.
Looks really cool.
It seems to deal a lot with
this is because they're working on multiple Silent Hill games. Remember?
Yeah, no. This is, you could argue this isn't really even a Silent Hill thing.
Yeah,
but
this is
they're using the Silent Hill like this series seems to be centered around like community trauma and overcoming that, I guess, together. If I had to
because there's
put a beat on it. But there is a Silent Hill 2 remake that's an actual video. That's a whole separate thing from that.
That's what I was going to say. There's a whole separate thing that's coming out that they've already announced and all that.
Yeah, this is some experimental whatnot.
Yes.
But I think they worked on like Until Dawn or something like that. Like, it's going to be more like that, which is why I pinged you on it. It's going to be more like Until Dawn's, the pictures of Medan and all of that stuff.
Yes. Did you see the Star Trek game that just came out that's like that?
Dude, come on. I've never seen anything Star Trek ever.
At all?
I remember the bald guy from X-Men being on Star Trek when I was like 8.
The bald guy from X-Men, Patrick Stewart?
Yeah, that's as much as I know about Star Trek. I remember he was there.
Oh, man.
And wasn't the guy that I love doing the gifs of, like on Faction Fiction, wasn't he on Star Trek?
Yes.
He's so fucking funny.
I can't remember his name right now. The fact that you called Patrick Stewart the bald guy from Star Trek.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What
And
else,
LeVar
what should
Burton's
I know
also
him
in Star-
from? Like what other thing should I have said?
X-Men. He's Professor X.
I said X-Men,
X-Men. He's been in a lot of stuff.
but that's what
A
I
lot.
said. The bald guy from X-Men,
Yeah, he's been in a lot of
Professor
stuff.
X.
But he was probably most known for Star Trek: The Next
Oh,
Generation.
that's what I think you. I just
That's the thing.
this is how little I know about Star Trek that I don't know him by name.
And then LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow is.
I know his name. Yeah. From Reading Rainbow, not from Star Trek.
Yeah.
My wife. All right, I'm gonna let you in on a little inside baseball because I think it's a funny anecdote.
Okay.
My wife was out a few weeks ago, and I was sending her like some sexy texts. I was like trying to prime for when she came home, and she was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it." And then she came home, and nothing happened. So the next morning, she woke up, and I sent her the video of the guy from Fact or Fiction being like, "False, didn't happen. We made it up."
What is the name of that show?
Fact or Fiction. I watched that show.
Is the name of the show just called Fact or Fiction?
Yeah, I think so. I watched that show when I was little. It's like, that's the kind of trash TV I'm into. I'm not going to watch your Star Trek Forever universes and all that, but I'm totally going to watch Fact or Fiction.
You were a Jerry Springer kid.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, definitely. For sure.
I was
like, dude,
I was
come on, man. Trailer park, homeless shelters. Come on.
Yeah, I was watching all this sci-fi and high-tech stuff. You're watching Jerry Springer and fights. Maury Povich.
My dad liked Maury. I never liked Maury. If Donnie doesn't like long series of multiverses, he definitely wouldn't like Star Trek. See?
Yeah,
John gets me. John gets me.
Star Trek is both of those.
10 people that formerly worked at CD Projekt Red have established Blank, a new studio that's developing character-driven apocalyptic game. They hope to grow to be about a 60-person dev team.
That's cool. I always like when new studios are made.
I assume that this announcement is trying to capture venture capital, and that's why this came out today. They're just starting off. They're probably trying to find investors. And who knows? Maybe we'll see a game from them in the future. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. Everybody keeps saying all the studios keep getting bought up. So
it's been my point. Yeah, there's the circle of life for game development. Studios grow,
come around.
They grow, and then they either succeed or fail. If they succeed, they get bought up. If they fail, they get closed down. It's the same, no different. And then
new studios come up.
Out of either one of those two things from happening, right? Somebody sells their studio, and like Shinji Mikami, he leaves. Somebody loses their studio, everybody gets fired, and they go create new other studios. That's just the circle of life. This is how this goes. This is literally why consolidation isn't all that thing to be scared of and fearful and be worried about. Especially if the licenses and the IPs that you care about are still being taken care of and they're still being owned. Yeah,
that's the main thing.
That's the thing, right? We're not like in the reason we don't have, the AFK wrestling games and stuff like that because nobody owns the rights and all that shit's closed down. Like Acclaim and all that stuff. Like most of the time, if a game has been very successful, somebody's going to take care of it. Somebody's going to get it. Embracer, Xbox, PlayStation, somebody's going to grab it. And as long as somebody has it, you always have hope, There's hope you'll get another Guitar Hero one day. Like I have very little hope we'll ever get a Clock Tower game again. That damn company doesn't seem to want to do anything. So
I wonder how much it would cost to buy Clock Tower.
So do I. I've always wondered that. I've always thought to myself that if I just hit the lottery, I would buy the IP for Clock Tower. And I have no idea what that is. Is that $1 million? That seems like a lot.
I wouldn't think it's $1 million. It can't be $1 million.
For a game that hasn't been released in 20 years that nobody recognizes or knows, that they have no business doing anything with. But I could release like a Clock Tower remaster and probably make $10 million on the low end.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Like if you did it well, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what that would be. Is it like 10? Is it $1 million? Is it $10 million? Is it 50 million? I have no idea what that is.
Can we start a GoFundMe to get
if Call of Duty is 79 or $60 billion, then what is Clock Tower? $5?
Yeah. I was going to say like 1,000.
Yeah. I would love to write them a letter, like an IP ownership request. You know, like not IP, like I was thinking like a URL request, like a domain request.
Yes.
I'm like, hello, Sunsoft. I am interested in your URL and intellectual property for Clock Tower. Here enclosed is $25. Please.
Please.
Check yes or no and reply. I've always thought that. So we got some news on this Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. You said it last week. You're like, man, I really wish it came with Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. Well, Delvin, it is.
That is awesome.
They're just basically taking the Metal Gear collection that we knew from PS3, and it looks like they're breaking into pieces and going to resell it to us. So we will get Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 with Metal Gear Solid, what's the second one called? I was going to say Twin Snakes. It's not it.
Sons of Liberty?
Yeah, Sons of Liberty. And Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. What is it? Second Snake?
Solid Snake?
Solid Snake? Yeah, Solid Snake. There we go. Thank you. And I haven't played those NES games.
And they are essential to the story.
Yeah, I'm aware of them. I played the first one when I got my Metal Gear collection. I don't think I finished it. But I actually, when I get this game this fall, I think I might start there. No joke. I think I may start with the NES games.
Metal Gear Solid references both of those games.
Oh yeah, Second Snake, Solid Snake is huge deal.
Yeah,
big boss, Snake, all that. Like, that's very important. I'm aware of the story because I played the actual Solid games and went back, so I'm aware of the story, but I never actually played and finished them myself.
I beat both of them, but I was like, whoa! I was like, I beat them when they came out.
That's
how long ago.
That's why I never. I think I played it because I was like, I want to see it, and then I was like, oh, this is an NES game, and I stopped. Yeah. And I may do it again. Sense. I may do that again, but there was part of me that, like, when I saw this news, I was like, because they're not that long, right? They're like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, about that.
I think I may start there. I don't know. It depends on when it comes out, but I may start there. Or I may just play them in order. I may just play 3. I don't know. I want to play 3, but then I also like want to wait for the remake. You know?
Yeah. I
want to play 3 because I love it, but I also know that, like, I have rose-colored glasses on. Like, 3's control scheme sucks. You know, yeah. Like, it's not. Doesn't age well.
I feel like the remake is gonna be a while for the remake. So if you can wait, by all means, wait.
I think that remake comes out next year.
If so, maybe late next year.
Yeah, that's what I think it comes out the fall after next. I think we're playing Metal Gear Solid 3 remake before 2025.
You think you can wait that long?
Yeah.
A year?
I think I can. I might just play Metal Gear Solid and Sons of Liberty and mess with the NES games and then wait for 3. I think I'll probably do that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. That's probably what I'll do. Because 3, and I mean, even the other, like, I feel like Metal Gear Solid, while the controls are different, like, I still, for whatever reason, I feel like I have, like, that muscle memory with that game. Like, I'm good with Metal Gear Solid. You know, like the crouching, standing, and, like, moving. I'm just talking, like, just mechanics. Whereas Metal Gear Solid 3, the last time I tried playing that, I remember just being like, this could use an update. Because don't you shoot with, like, square?
R1?
No, I don't think so.
Square. You shoot with square.
And, like, you hold the aim button and then shoot. Like, it's a little.
Yeah.
It needs an update.
I remember that.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe they'll add it.
I don't think so. It would be nice. But they said that the intent behind the Master Collection is to keep the original game. So I don't think they're going to do anything to change it. But I would love, maybe, like, in the options, they would have, like, a modern control scheme. That'd be amazing. That'd be great.
That's what I was thinking.
That'd be awesome.
Did the collection that came out on PS3 have?
Or let us remap?
That could work too.
I don't think they did. But I also haven't played it in, like, 4 years.
I have it.
I do too. Yeah. I booted it up
And,
a couple years ago. No. Maybe 2 years ago. Before I started playing 5, I was kind of in the mood. And I booted it up and played a little bit. It was you remember when I don't know. I'm terrible with time. You remember when I was trying to figure out how to get Metal Gear going on PC?
Yes, I do.
I booted up on PS3, and here's what I remember from that experience. I remember playing it for a little bit and going, this ain't it, and then going and figuring out how to do it on PC.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I played half of Metal Gear Solid on PC before another game came out and I moved on. So, yeah. I don't know. But we do have other news. Kojima will not be associated with the title. They did come out and confirm that. So he's not going to be like an ambassador or consultant. I thought they would do that. I thought they would give him the bag just to like include his name, but they're not. They're also using the original voiceover from the original game in the remake.
Whoa.
So I have seen a lot of people say exactly what you did. Do you think that's a bad thing? I think it's a great thing.
It could be, depending on how it sounds quality wise. If it still sounds good and great, but
I think the easiest thing to update and transfer for in game would be the audio, like the lines. Like, I saw some YouTubers and one podcast I listened to was talking about it, and they were like, I don't like this. That I guess they were thinking they want like a full ground up everything remade. And I just don't I don't know the cast that well, but like I see there's damned if you do, damned if you don't with this Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Where if they venture, like, honestly, in any way at all that's different from what Kojima did, I think they're going to get killed for it. And I think if they completely remake it 1-to-1 exactly the way that it is, I think they're going to get killed for it. I think either way, you're going to piss somebody off. Somebody's going to be mad at them.
And if you rehire voice actors and you don't have David Hayter as Snake, people will get pissed.
Well, they announced when they announced that David Hayter, like his voice was in it, like, so David Hayter's there.
Yeah.
Right. But like you can't reshoot everybody. And even if you reshoot all the lines, it's going to be different. I think the Metal Gear games, specifically that Metal Gear Solid trilogy, I think it's some of the best voice acting, like definitely of its time, like of its day. Yeah, I think that voice acting still holds up. Like when I played Metal Gear on PC last year, I had 0 issues with the voice acting. That'd be the least of my concerns. Like, oh yeah, just use the voice acting. This is great.
I don't have a problem with it. Yeah.
Could you imagine if somebody else's like voice changed?
I'm quite sure somebody else's voice changed.
No, I mean, but could you imagine if, like, let's say they recast everybody but David Hayter, and you go to start playing the game and it's different, right?
People have a fit.
But here's the thing: if they stick too true to what it is, then people are going to be like, "Well, then what's the remake?" People are going to be mad too.
They have to just make a distinction. They have to like somehow make it different.
It's just
different enough worth to buy.
Like, see,
like the Resident Evil ones.
And I agree with you. And I think you do that in gameplay, right? Controls, gameplay, graphics. Yes. But the problem is, like, let's say they add a mission in that wasn't there before. People would be mad.
Possible.
Because what Capcom is doing, like what Capcom did with Resident Evil 4 is because they added modern controls, the game's super easy. So what they did is they added way more enemies. And it is a different game. It's not quite the survival horror game it is. It's very action heavy. Right?
Yeah.
And Resident Evil 4 was always action heavy, but the remake is super action heavy. It's more so. And I guess the point that I'm trying to ultimately make, even though I'm taking a really long time making it, is I don't think you can go to a Metal Gear game and just add more enemies.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work because you still need to be able to stealth around. You still need to be able to, like, it's still a stealth game. Like, you adding multiple enemies into one of their arenas, I think that could make the game worse if you're not doing it well.
Oh yeah, definitely. You have to. It's a delicate. I guess you have to be mindful of when you remake these games that you don't break the game. I guess,
but more so than this game because of the split between Konami and Kojima.
Yeah, because it's a little toxic.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley's already tweeting at him like, You know, like people are mad. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man.
But what did they expect Konami to do?
Right.
Just, I guess just leave Metal Gear alone.
They own Metal Gear. It's not Kojima's, it's theirs.
Yeah.
I know people don't like hearing that, but that's the truth. That be the facts.
And it makes money.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't say I love Kojima. I'm totally fine to support Kojima, right? But I'm gonna buy Metal Gear. Like, I like the franchise Metal Gear more than I like Kojima.
I love Kojima. I'm still buying Metal Gear.
Right. I'm still gonna buy Metal Gear. And I think he would. I don't know, like, if he's gonna go on record and tell people, but I would expect him to be like, please buy Metal Gear. Like, he loves this series. He poured his whole life into it. Like, he doesn't want everybody to hate the series and not buy it.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And besides,
he's moved on.
I don't know him.
He's moved
I
on.
don't know him.
You know,
I don't explain shit to him.
Buy Death Stranding 2 if you care that much. But yeah, I've been seeing this since the announcement. And yeah, the voiceover thing, it seems to be bothering people, but it doesn't me. I'll go on record. I think the voice acting in the original, especially, 3, the voice acting is great. Hey, the voice acting in Metal Gear Solid is fine. If they remade Metal Gear Solid 1 and they pulled the same voice acting, be like, fine, great.
They probably will.
Yeah, I think they will too. Because I do think, it's another question. Didn't somebody ask us about Metal Gear? I don't know if I want to talk about this now or later. I thought somebody asked us about Metal Gear.
A question. Let's see if I can find a question real quick.
I don't see anything that says Metal Gear. Maybe. Oh, it's Metal Gear Solid. Okay, yeah, we got a question. I'll save it for later. Okay. THQ Nordic wants Remedy to change its mind about a digital-only release for Alan Wake 2. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Yeah, they tweeted at him, which was a little weird. Let's call them out like in public. You couldn't fucking write an email or something? You're their publisher.
I have our number.
Damn, I'd be so mad. If I was Remedy, I'd be so damn mad. Ratchet is coming to PC July 26th. Ratchet and Clank, was it Rift Apart?
Rift Apart, great game.
It is a great game. Apparently,
well, people should play it.
Though, contrary to what was said at the time, apparently this game is possible on things that aren't the PS5.
Yeah, they lied. Who would have thunk it? PlayStation lied to us.
You remember when they came out and they were so against cross-gen? And they're like, this is only possible on PS5. And that's all I was thinking about when this came out. And Rob 3000, we were talking in the chat. I was just like, wait till people play Ratchet on their Steam Deck. What are all those PS5 fans going to like? It's too slow. Remember SSDs? How will this game run?
They really did say that. They really did make that.
They did.
Like, we can't do all these.
It's impossible. Couldn't possibly. And again, I only bring this up because it's fun. It's fun to make fun of these dumb things that we latch onto. But you remember at the time, people were eating it up. They're like, I don't think you can do the dimension thing. I don't think it's possible. Watch these people do it on handhelds in a month.
Yeah.
We need the SSD. Dude, they're going to be doing this shit on a flash drive in a minute. Gaming is so dumb. We say and buy in and regurgitate the dumbest things. And you know what? And I'm not blaming anybody. I am definitely a part of it as well. We don't know any better. We don't know any better. So it's just funny. It's funny when it does work out that way. To laugh at. WrestleQuest lands officially on August 8th.
That's a great date.
I'm day one. You getting in on the WrestleQuest?
Me too. Yeah, without question. It looks good.
You see the trailer?
Looks good. Looks fun.
DDP and Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake and shit. I am all in.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks like a lot of fun.
I think it's golf story, but wrestling. That's like basically my expectation.
I feel like if the AEW game doesn't hit for me, this probably will.
Oof, I hope it lands for you, buddy. Let me tell you, the Reddit that I'm following, not painting a great picture.
Yeah, it's like, hey, well, I guess I got WrestleQuest in.
I've seen some screens. Some of the latest screens look pretty good, but some of the gameplay stuff that I was reading doesn't sound super great. But like Sting looked good. Darby looked
Sting
good.
looked
Like
great.
some of the new stuff look good.
Darby
Kenny
looked
looks good. Netflix has hired Roth Grissetti, who is the art director from God of War, from Sony Santa Monica, and he joins Joseph Staten from Halo and studio head Chaco Sonny, who was Overwatch's producer at
Good
Netflix's new AAA studio.
This the gaming studio?
Yeah.
Huh.
So they're bringing in some talent.
Big names.
What does
Let's
that
see what
mean?
happens.
Is Netflix going to produce a game that runs on your Xbox? Or are they going to try to convince us to play a AAA game
On your
streaming
Netflix
through
device?
Netflix?
I think that's what they're going to try to do. I don't want to do that.
I mean, maybe it's good, but I don't think so. If there's somebody that can, honestly, if there's somebody that has the infrastructure to make streaming games work, it's got to be Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Like that is what they do. If they can't do it, who can?
Yeah. Well, they come out with a streaming stick that you can play video games on. Maybe
What if it's free?
That would be cool.
What if it's just if you're a Netflix subscriber, you can play it?
Don't they do that already with like Oxenfree and stuff like that?
They have a library of mobile games that if you're a Netflix player, and they've I think Turtles. You can play Turtles on your phone and shit, just because you have Netflix. The Cowabunga collection, whatever.
Okay.
Which is pretty rad. But could you imagine if they had like a AAA game you could just play on Netflix? You just log into Netflix, you just play it?
That could be cool.
Seems like a money loss, like a real big money pit.
Oh, it's definitely gonna be a money loss.
But isn't that what Netflix is? It's like that is Netflix, just a money pit. Yeah. So I don't know. Rude Days 93 is giving us an update. He says that the score is now 12-11 as Delvin got the over wrong on Diablo by 1 point.
Motherfucker.
But we all got Street Fighter right.
Yes.
As I said, I was not surprised with Street Fighter's score in the least bit, because I continue to say, even though I'm not even super knowledgeable of fighting games, I continue to think it's like the most impressive fighting game I've seen in what feels like a decade or more.
That might be right.
I watched somebody just stream, somebody at YouTube, right? They just had a couple fights up, and I was just captivated and just watching the fights. I didn't even know who the player was. I don't even know if they were any good. The game just looks so damn good. Like, I'm so into its art style, and I'm so into like its action scenes, right? And it's like, I don't know what they're called, like impact breaks or whatever that they're doing, and how you can counter like super moves with super moves. You counter the counter. Like, I have never been into Evo or competitive gaming, but I feel like I would watch a competitive Street Fighter match, because I feel like I'm almost watching like a sport. Like, I feel like I'm into it in a way that I've never felt watching Smash or Tekken or Mortal Kombat. I've never felt this way before. But for some reason with Street Fighter 6, like, I'm like, dude, this is incredible.
It is.
So
looks great. I can't wait.
I hope it gets all the accolades. And like I said before, I would be so happy if Street Fighter won Game of the Year. It would give me like hope in the video game business, like the industry, to see like, oh yeah, these games still matter. They can still be awesome.
Well,
it doesn't have to be a 25-hour campaign that makes you cry to win Game of the Year. Like, it'd be great. And with that is the end of the news, and we can get into the questions.
Hey, Delvin. Hey, Devin. Hey, Donnie. It's Deborah Wilson. I'm going to give you a couple of things. The way I think that it would be heard on a podcast. So I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Deborah Wilson from... Here I go again. It happens. I do this shit in the booth too. Hi, I'm Deborah Wilson, the voice of... Hi, I'm Deborah Wilson, the voice of Seer Junda for Star... This shit happens. This is real life. Hi, I'm Deborah Wilson, the voice of Seer Junda from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And you're listening to the PSVG podcast. And now, Donnie with the news.
Delvin with the news.
Yeah, we got some questions.
Or
Questions.
I played the wrong bumper. I thought it was a questions bumper. Damn. I'm way off my game. I got to tell you, I was checking my email.
Close enough. All right. Our first question from Ray. With Xbox exclusive Diablo 4 getting such a high review score, what upcoming PS4 exclusive do you think has the best chance to review it that highly? Hate to break it to you, Ray. We're on PS5 now.
Ray.
He's trolling, by the way. He's 100%
Is
trolling.
he?
Yes.
Okay, so I was going to start by saying thanks for writing in. We're happy to have you. But yeah, Diablo's not exclusive at all.
He's saying because of the Activision deal and all that stuff. And
yeah, maybe one day.
Slandering PlayStation, of course.
Yeah, there's
and the answer is Spider-Man.
That's still linging out there. We still have a lot of PlayStation upsetness in the ether.
Yeah. Valid upset.
Are they? We got a question for
some
that.
of it is.
Oh, wait.
Oh, you want to reach your friends, your delusional friends question?
Yes. So I was going to save this for Dev because it was written for Dev, but Dev's not here. And here's the thing. I don't know how relevant this will be by the time, who knows when Dev's coming back. You know?
Why not?
You might just pull a lane.
He just left us.
Yep.
In the cold dust.
So my friend Joe, Free to Play Joe, wrote me a text after he listened to the podcast last week. He was very upset with us for letting Sony off the hook. He thought we were too kind to them. And he said specifically me. It's like I'm specifically
how dare you let them
upset
off the
with
hook,
you.
Donnie?
He
the
said,
person who always is on Donnie's PlayStation's case.
So he texts me and he said, I miss Dev or something like that. I'm like, when's Dev coming
back? No one
back?
misses Dev.
Because he thought Dev would go hard. So he wrote in this question, Dev, will you set the record straight and tell these guys why that showcase sucked? I can't believe y'all let them off the hook last week.
Hate to break it to you, Free to Play Joe. Dev's not here. Your leader, your hero has failed you.
Yeah. He was like, oh, everybody's mad at PlayStation? Time to bounce. Okay. I've thinking about this a little bit since talking to Joe, and I've said some things to Joe, and here's the thing I wanted to float by you. Something we may have missed in our deliberations last week.
Okay.
So we follow the news of video games very closely. We know all the things. We go through everything Jim and Phil say and all that every week. Yes. Do you think our optimism, I don't even think optimism, just our general, like the world's not on fire take with that PlayStation case. Do you think that might be because we were more informed than maybe most gamers? Because something that Joe brought up, he was like, why did they just show a bunch of live service games? To which my response to him was, where have you been? They've been saying that they're doing this. Like, this is not new. They've been doing this. And he was like, where?
And they've been pushing for the last several years.
So that's the thing. And that's where I picked up on this, because he was like, when? And I actually had to send him like some headlines from like last year of Jim Ryan saying, and Herman saying, like, we're doing live services and we bought these studios. I was like, they told you these were coming. Like, they've been telling you that these games are coming, and here they are showing you these games they've been telling you are coming, and now you're all mad. So I'm wondering if some of the outrage, do people just find out that Sony's doing live service? did it just click? Like, maybe they saw a headline once and they're like, yeah, whatever Grubb says, but like now it's real. They're like, oh shit.
See, what happened was Sony lied so much they thought this was a lie. No, this is the truth, actually. This is the actual truth. They weren't lying about this part.
I was wondering, I was like, maybe this is it. Maybe people have just caught on that the live service thing is a thing. Because Joe was like, this is not what they do. They do single player, third person stuff. I was like, yeah, but they kind of don't. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will continue to make those games. But like, it's clear that to me, I don't know, you're a PSXP person, but you tell me what you think. It's clear to me that Sony sees a need to diversify.
Yeah, very much
I
so.
assume because the games that people think of them, Uncharted and God of War and Last of Us, I think are really expensive to make.
Very expensive.
And I think Sony is like, yeah, but you know what's not that expensive to make? Live service games.
Yeah. Something that can constantly support itself.
And makes and I mean there's an argument to make that they don't cost as much to make and they have the potential to out earn. You may not say you may not like hearing that when you think Last of Us, but don't think Last of Us when you hear that. Think Days Gone. Think Ratchet. Right? If you think of that, and then you start thinking about fair games and other things that they might come out, like there's the potential to earn more money.
And they're going to go for the money if they can. If they can get more money and maximize their profits, they're definitely going to do that. And if the live service games is what does it, they're going to go for it.
Yeah. And like,
we don't have to like it.
I think the crazy thing is that 2-3 years ago, maybe 4 at this point, PlayStation probably really invested into this. We're going to do a lot of live service stuff. And then what's happened since then is a lot of live services have come out and failed and people are getting tired of it. And here Sony is with like 5 new studios making 12 new live service games. They're like, oh. Yeah. And then that might be a bigger part of the reason people are angry.
Yeah.
Because outside of that, I don't really understand it. Like Rob 3000 in the Discord, he was upset that the Ratchet news wasn't in the showcase. And I guess somebody shared that there were other people saying the same thing. And I get what Rob. I'm not using Rob's opinion against him. We talked about it, but I'm almost shocked that people expect it to be there. And it is one of those things where I think you can say that in hindsight. Like maybe if you hear other podcasters like, why wasn't this a showcase? I think that's like a talking point you can bring up today. But had it actually been in the showcase, I don't think they would be saying that. I don't think they'd be like, I'm so happy Ratchet and Clank the PC was in the showcase. I don't think that was what they'd have said at all.
Exactly.
Had it been in the showcase, they'd have been like, why was it in the showcase?
100%.
Right? Right? Like
100%.
We do this so often. And if you think I'm cynical, I probably am. But I often feel like when it comes to these showcases and how we grade them and all these things we talk about, I think we just talk in circles just to talk. Like there's such a specific parameter that people seem to want, right? You have to have the perfect game to open the show. You have to have the perfect game to close the show. You have to be surprised. You have to have like 3 really cool indie games and a surprise game. Like you have to check all these boxes to have a great show, where realistically it's just a collection of commercials. That's all it is. It doesn't matter what order they're in. It doesn't matter the pacing. Like you may not like it. You may not think it's as great a showing, but it doesn't change at the end of the day. All that matters is they show you products that you want to buy.
It's 1 hour ad.
Yeah.
It's an infomercial.
Yeah. It's an entertaining infomercial. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like QVC, right? The old channel back in the day. Yeah. It's just that. You might as well have just this sham guy up there. Just like
same thing.
That's all it is. I say this honestly, I say that with my Nintendo hat on. Because I've been saying this about directs for years. People splice directs apart to the minutia. Well, I didn't like this part and I didn't like that part. And I think that it would have been better. It's like, that's why when it comes to these things, the reason I'm bringing this all up is really just to defend myself. And I said this to Joe. So Joe already knows this, but I'll just say it because other people listening to us don't know what I've said to Joe. If you heard me last week talking about how I didn't think the PlayStation show was that bad, I thought it was pretty good. And you're like, why did Donnie think that? It's because my only grade for these, as always, did they give me a handful of things I want to buy? That's the only thing I ever say on Shaq when I watch a direct. I don't care what surprise happened. I don't care how much they caught me off guard, or if Keanu came out, or any of these things. Good stuff. Did Shinmu show up? Like how loud the crowd was? None of that matters to me. I only grade these things are, did they show me some things I want to buy? And the more things they show me that I want to buy, the better the show. That's it.
Yeah.
And I told you there were a handful of games in the PlayStation Showcase that I plan on buying. I wish listed Cat Quest. I'm gonna get Sea of Sword, like mostly the indie stuff, but I was really excited for the indie stuff.
But people kind of want that gaga, that clamor and glitz. They want, which is unfair. Honestly,
I don't think it's unfair. I wonder if that's of a bygone time.
Maybe. But you can't every year have the year of dreams, as people like to call it. You can't have everything in the.
We went through that, like our age. I don't know if it's a generation. I don't think it's a generation thing, but like gamers of our age and around our age, we've grown up through that. So like I understand the conditioning to want to recreate those happy moments. But like how much can that still be expected in this new digital landscape and this online world where things are leaking left and right? And like I heard you on PSXP, you were like, Metal Gear's awesome, but it came out early. Like that shouldn't change the fact of how awesome Metal Gear is.
I agree.
Like
that's how people look at it.
IGN being like, Metal Gear happened. That's huge news. Metal Gear is back. We thought the damn thing might be dead forever.
Yeah.
They're going to do Metal Gear.
That Konami is making games again. It's not like, oh, there's a Castlevania collection. No, this is actual game they're making.
Yeah.
That's huge news.
Which is why I thought the show was pretty good.
Yeah, but people don't see it like that.
Damn.
They want more. People heard the Wolverine. They're like, oh, we must be getting that really soon.
So here's another thing. Again, as I was, getting all cynical about how we grade these things, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. People want to be excited. They want to be caught off guard. They want to be surprised by big exclusive IP, right? And then a company does that, and they show you Perfect Dark, and they show you Fable, and then you get mad that the games take so long. Well, that's because they showed you early in development their plans because they wanted to get you, like they gave you what you wanted, but you want what you want now, and you also want it to come out 6 months from now. And you don't get both. That's the thing. You don't get both. Sony showed you the games that they have ready to release in the near future.
Yes.
They like now. Everybody said it back in the PS4, like, oh my God, stop showing us games that are 6 years away. Right? We kept seeing Uncharted. We kept seeing Last of Us 2. Right? Everybody said they didn't want that. So you don't have that. And here's PlayStation being like, here's the games that we got coming out. By the way, Spider-Man's coming out soon. It's fucking awesome. Here are the games we have coming out soon. And the people are like, where's Wolverine? Where's the other games? So that's what I mean by talking in circles. I think we just talk. Honestly, I think like that communal like podcast. It's not just, I'm talking about the conversation. I'm not singling any, outlet or community or brand out. I just think gaming, like the gaming echo chamber,
gaming in general,
we just talk in circles, right? Like it doesn't matter if you give us one, we'll talk about the other. If you give us the other, we'll talk about the one. Like we just kind of just talk.
Talk.
Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, whatever. Like, these are people just talk.
Give each other's terrible hot takes off. Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
I think your point, I was really digging your little promo you hit on people living in the future. I was like, this applies to all gamers. Like that's not a Sony. That's everybody.
100%. Yeah, 100%. We can't enjoy and live. Look at all the great games we're getting right now.
So many. So many.
And we're still like, what's next?
People like that PlayStation show was mid. It was trash when we were on PS5. Dude, they showed like 40 games. There were so many games in that show. I have set through, and I guess this is another point that I talked to Joe about. I've just sat through so many worse shows. Like maybe that wasn't the show. Maybe I'm like, I can have this perspective because I'm not a PlayStation 5 owner. So I'm not looking for them to like justify my purchase, my box that I have hooked into my TV. Like I just looked at a show. I was like, man, they showed a ton of games. Not all of them are for me, but just the sheer amount of games that they showed. There's so much stuff here. Do you imagine the shit that I've sat through? Like the Wii U Nintendo Directs. some of the Nindy presentations I've seen, the
Look-
Xbox 3-hour shows where they showed like 8 games.
Look at it like this, and this is put this in perspective.
So I'm probably grading on a curve, probably.
In not even a week, in a matter of days, we're gonna get a game that is rated a 92 and a game is rated a 89 in days, like in the next few days that nobody's played yet.
And Final
Like,
Fantasy's coming right behind them.
And Final Fantasy coming right behind it. We just got Tears of the King. We have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that we haven't even played yet that's coming out.
Yeah, so I felt like with Joe, because he is a PlayStation guy, he works from my IT department. With him specifically, I definitely felt there's like a difference because he just follows PlayStation and like he's just looking for like what PlayStation has given him from the past. And if that's like your rubric, then I understand why you might be a little let down. I get that. The difference being is, like I said, I've just seen so many other shows. At this point, if you sit me down for an hour and show me something, and that hour goes by without me like looking at my phone because I'm bored, like that's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, hey, it was pretty good.
I'll give Joe this kind of carrot. This is what I think is going to happen. And I'm almost sure it's going to happen. Spider-Man's coming out like around November, October, whatever, around that time. Game Awards, you're going to get a look at some PlayStation. I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah, I think that's
Might be from Insomniac.
Don't they do that every year?
Yeah, but you're going to get the look at the next big game.
The big one.
That's coming out. It's going to be a big one.
I think a lot of
That's
people
what they
are kind
usually
of
do.
falling into that cadence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to get your Spider-Man, and after you get your Spider-Man, here is the next big thing we're working on that's going to be coming out soon. Maybe within the next 12 months or so.
That's basically been what Nintendo's been doing for like 3 years.
Yeah.
They only focus on like the next game that's coming out. They really don't talk about like, they'll give you like a teaser of what's coming out like down the road, but then you'll never hear about it again. Like they just focus on the next game.
Exactly. That's what I think is going to happen. They're trying not to overshadow Spider-Man, but once Spider-Man's out, this is what's coming up next.
Yeah.
This is what's on deck.
And I like what PlayStation's doing. If like given the choice, I'd rather everybody adapt to what PlayStation is doing. So keeping everything very short, very close to the chest, and they're just talking about what's coming out soonish. Every now and again, you get a teaser, but it's really the focus. The 80% of the focus is what's coming out soon.
Yeah. And I think that's good because you have something to look forward to in fairly recent time. Like you don't have to wait like 3-4 years for something to come out.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey,
That's the thing. I feel like most people agree with that. Like I think if we ask people, most people would say, yeah, no, I like that. But you have to then accept that if you like that, then that means that the big teaser logo trailer that you get excited for goes away.
Yeah.
Or is used seldomly.
more sparingly. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get both. Like you can't have both. And I feel like people want both.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that PlayStation kind of spreads it out too. Like we see them when we see them.
It's exciting as somebody who doesn't have a PlayStation 5. There is an exciting unknown about the PlayStation 5. You don't really know what the roadmap is. So at the moment, while it may be frustrating, it's honestly though, it could be anything. Right? Yeah. That's why you get these crazy rumors that they're working on Metal Gear and Silent Hill or Bloodborne. And, like you can have those rumors and those conversations because you don't know. That's not really happening in Xbox land because we do know. We know like everything they're working on for the next 4 years. The question isn't what are they doing? The question is it going to be any good?
We know too much, if anything.
And I think that's, again, there's both sides, right? There's two ways of doing this. And I'm not faulting Xbox for doing what they're doing. I think I said at the time, I think Xbox did what they had to. Coming from their position and everything, they had to show you what their plans were. Yeah. It was a harder sell. Yeah. It's a tougher sell. The Xbox couldn't show up and be like, here's our console, buy it because we're awesome. PlayStation can. Yeah.
But to that, you still have the same concept with Xbox. Where's Hellblade 2? Where's this? Where's that?
Yeah, that's
Where's
all
Fable?
It is.
That's a constant thing. So,
People think Fable should be out by now.
Yeah.
There's people online, and I mean real people, not trolls. There are people that are like, how has Fable not come out yet? Because
Have
they
we
showed
seen
it 2
anything?
years ago. No, we've never seen it in
That's what I'm
engine.
gonna say. We just saw like the trailer.
We got a logo trailer, a fake logo trailer, and people are like, "Where is that game?"
Yeah,
and that game probably still won't be out for another 2 or 3 years.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So, oof. Speaking of that, by the way, I don't think I read that. Didn't we have that in there somewhere? Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
And I just went right over it. My bad. So in our little rumor section, our little buy and sell stuff that I didn't read, Xbox tweeted what sure is a Fable teaser. Like it looks like they're teasing Fable because they have a trailer where Melissa McGame Pass is chasing a line of glitter up the stairs to their desk, promoting the Xbox showcases coming up. The whole time, this Fable music is playing. So in Fable, if nobody knows, a lot of people didn't. I'm surprised so many people didn't. In Fable, when you set a waypoint to go to your next mission or whatever, there would be like a glowing, glittery trail that you would follow. And then, dude, the dead giveaway is just the music. Even without the glitter, it's just there's music. The Fable music's playing the whole time. So Yarden asked a question. I've seen a lot of people, including Xbox themselves, start to overhype the showcase. Do you have any predictions you care to share?
Well, I guess Fable was the one I would have had.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see. I will say we'll see an official trailer for Fable.
I agree.
No gameplay, nothing like that. Like just hey, here's Fable. This is the world, what it's gonna look like, and
I agree.
you'll hear about it more later.
I have a list written down, but I didn't want to just hog this whole time.
Oh, be my guest. Go through the list.
Okay. First, I wanted to ask: did you see the tweet from Xbox about the Fable thing?
I did not see the tweet.
Do you think people are overhyping?
How do you overhype?
I think that's what I was gonna say. We're very connected tonight because I was gonna be like, isn't this just what we do? Like this is just games. It's not even just games. It's just entertainment. Isn't this what happens when you have conferences and showcases? Isn't it like when Marvel does their thing? Isn't this what happens?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think just people are just hyped for the showcase.
Yeah, when you really love these franchises, like this is just what happens. People get hyped.
Yeah, it's part of the game. Like
I don't think them teasing Fable is a bad thing. If anything, I think it may set a good expectation if they follow through. If they don't follow through, which I don't think they will, I think they're going to show us Fable. But if they didn't, that'd be a huge mistake. Could you imagine if they do this tweet and everything and they just don't even? Oh, that'd be terrible. That'd be a terrible idea. But I think they will. I've said that all this whole time. Now's the time to see Fable. All right. So I wrote down a couple of bullet points for Yarden. Again, I'm not Nostradamus. Most of the time when people ask us for predictions, I don't like come up with my own like crazy wacky ones because I'm not that creative. I usually just go and try to read like some rumors and just try to connect some dots and come up with what I think is going to happen. So I think we need dates. My first thing that I wrote down is we need dates. We need dates for Stalker 2. We need dates for Cocoon. And we need dates for Replaced. Because they were all at last year's E3 and we haven't heard a peep or seen anything from them since. So we need updates.
Stalker 2.
I agree with you, but I'm also like worried because you know the developer is like Ukrainian. I'm worried that game is just indefinitely, but I would still like to have an update. If that's the update, then give them the update. Like stop letting us just languish in wanting to know whether or not it's coming out. I want to know when they're coming out. So if they're coming out in 2024, didn't tell us.
Just let us know, yeah.
But to your point, my second bullet point was it's time to finally see Avowed, Fable, and then I wrote in parentheses, probably State of Decay in engine. It's time to see what those games are going to look like. This isn't CG trailers. I don't want CG trailers again. So I think there's like an accepted, and this again goes back to the PlayStation showcase. The way that I look at this, there's like an accepted order of operations when it comes to like these showcases. When you announce a brand new game, a CG trailer, to me, totally fine. I know a lot of people were upset with the PlayStation Showcase because there's a lot of CG trailers. They're announcing brand new games you've never heard of before. I think it's totally fine.
Yeah.
The games are early in development. Not that big of a deal. Even if they're like the live service stuff, even if they're later in development, it's the first time you ever heard about it. I'm totally fine. Then the second time you show that game, you better show assets. It doesn't have to be a gameplay trailer, but you need to let people give a good expectation of what people can expect. What's the loop look like? What's the world look like? What's the graphical style? Like, what is the game? Right? It could be concept art, but preferably something in engine that's moving around, you know? And that's what I'm hoping to see. I'm sorry?
So to give you an idea of what the game is, what you're working with, what kind of game it's going to be. Yeah, I kind of feel you on that.
Yep. So I think it's time to see these three. And then I wrote, they'll probably save one for the Game Awards, to your point. So I will say they'll save Avowed for the Game Awards. I think we'll see in-engine Fable and State of Decay, and then they'll save Avowed for the Game Awards.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
And then I wrote my next bullet point. If they show Hellblade, which I think they will, it needs to be dated, and I expect it to come out in 2024.
That's a good idea. Smoking Joe, don't ruin the show. That's going to kill Donnie's mood.
I didn't even read it. What did he say?
Don't read it.
Oh, God. Oh, God. All right, moving on.
Yes.
My next bullet point. A big third-party game comes to Game Pass. The options that I wrote down are Alone in the Dark, to your point from earlier, Lords of the Fallen, Armored Core, the Metal Gear Collection. Although the rumors, I wrote this in because there are rumors, there's been rumors around for weeks, that's going to be Persona. Apparently there's been all kinds of stuff being talked about. Xbox has a marketing deal with maybe Persona 3 Remake or a spinoff, but a lot of people are suggesting it's going to be Persona related. But yeah, I think a big third-party game gets announced for Game Pass.
Persona fits that. Persona would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I don't know
Persona
if
fits.
Xbox fans will feel about Persona.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Armored Core. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Metal Gear Collection. Xbox
I think
loves.
Metal Gear Collection fits too.
I think Konami would totally take the check. And I think Xbox wants people, like, they want to associate themselves more with Japanese developers. They do this with Yakuza. They did it with Persona earlier this year. I think these always fit. The games that I usually look for are big publishing games, but not high profile selling games. Right? It's like Alone in the Dark, Lords of the Fallen, Armored Core. Armored Core is honestly a great Game Pass game. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to buy that game, like, at all.
But they'll play it on Game Pass.
But I think a lot of people would try it on Game Pass. I do. But I think it's worth more. It's honestly, and I don't mean to dismiss Armored Core at all, because I grew up playing Armored Core. It's tough as nails, and I don't know what the new one's going to be like. But I think Armored Core coming to Game Pass is almost like bigger news than just Armored Core coming out. Right?
You know what? I'll go with that because I don't know. I think it makes more news if it's on Game Pass. Like,
right. It makes more news. I think more people care about Armored Core if it's coming to Game Pass.
Yes.
And
they'll give it a shot.
And not in a way that, like, I think you could say, like, well, that's the same for every game. Not in the same way.
No, not the same way.
Not in the same way. I think if Armored Core is coming to Game Pass, like, more people want to cover that than, let's say, Alone in the Dark is coming to Game Pass. I think if Alone in the Dark is coming to Game Pass, I think a lot of people go, of course.
Yeah.
But I think if Armored Core comes to Game Pass, people are like, oh, that's a big deal. That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But I also think of Persona. If there's a Persona 3 remake coming to Game Pass, I think people are fucking over the moon. People are excited.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
My next prediction is a Game Pass Family Plan membership launches that day, probably with some new co-op or multiplayer party game.
I can see that happening.
I don't know what that game is. No clue, but something
didn't
like
they
that.
like have a thing where they was saying like a price thing for it with that Nintendo's on? Like a price chart came out for what that.
They've launched Family Plan in other territories, but we don't know what that price. We don't know if they're going to keep that exact price ratio in states or the UK or anything like that.
Okay,
North
that's what I was
America.
trying to figure out.
My next bullet point is the big Bethesda news will come from Bethesda Game Studios and Starfield. We've already seen, like, the leaks of a controller and headset and stuff like that. But I wrote down, I don't think this is really a prediction. I mean, I guess it could be because I think other people are going to say that this is happening. So I'm going to take the counter. I'm going to counter pick it. and I'm going to say that it's probably too early to talk about id or Machine Games, so I don't think they make an appearance.
Huh.
I don't think we hear about
Wolfenstein.
well, definitely not Wolfenstein, but what's the Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones.
I don't think there's any
Honestly
Doom.
speaking,
There's no
it would be a
Quake.
good
I
time
don't
talking about
see-
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I know. And Machine Games is working on Indiana Jones game.
The movie's coming out in what, a month, less than a month, May 30th.
I just feel like when they announced it to now, I just wonder if it's just way too soon. I don't know.
It might be.
It may not be. Maybe they've been further along than I gave them credit for, but that's I'm taking the counter. I expect somebody out there is probably going to be like, Wolfenstein 3. I'm taking the counter. I say they're not there. I think Bethesda's big input is from Starfield. Maybe ZeniMax or like maybe one of their live service somethings get an update, but I think it's just Starfield.
Okay.
And then my last one was Compulsion's game finally gets unveiled. It's time.
That could be fun.
It's long overdue. I'm surprised that it's 2023 and I'm still wondering what the fuck Compulsion's doing. They bought them 5 years ago.
Wow.
Not a peep. We haven't heard anything about Compulsion at all.
At all.
So I think it's time. Now's the time. We should see whatever Compulsion has up their sleeve. I don't know if it's just a logo or if it's a trailer. Maybe the game comes soon. Who knows? But I expect that we'll see something about Compulsion's next game.
That could be pretty cool.
And those would be my predictions.
Those are some good predictions.
I think that if half of that came true and the other half was filled in by things that I couldn't connect dots on, I think that's a pretty good show.
I would like it, but then again, people get mad and say.
I think the thing that people don't want to see is they don't want to see Forza, which we're going to.
Yes, we
I think they don't want to hear about Sea of Thieves or Halo, which I think we might. You know, or Flight Sim or any of their service games. You know, like people don't want to see any of that. Grounded. And I don't know if they will or not. Xbox does seem to really listen to feedback. So maybe they won't. Maybe they'll save that for afterwards. But I'll never rule it out. As long as those games are being successful, I think Microsoft will want to give them the rub whenever they can. We'll see.
All right. Our next question, a fun question from Matthew. He asked, every animal now has opposable thumbs.
Sorry.
Which species?
I also wrote down nothing gears.
I agree with that as well.
There's lots of rumors there's like some sort of Gears collection coming. I would love
That's
to
been
believe
for
it.
a while too.
Yeah, I would love to believe it. Trust me. I would love for it to be true. But I just kind of don't. I think it's weird. It's just weird placing. Right? Like they're working on a new Gears game. They've already like remastered one of them. The other ones have been improved. I think it's just I don't know. It just doesn't seem to really fit for me. I would rather like a Fable collection or something else, a Banjo. I would rather something like that than a Gears collection.
Yeah, that would be cool. But I think we'll end up getting the Gears. I definitely see us getting the Gears collection before we get.
I'm gonna buy it too. I'm gonna buy a damn Lancer if they do it. I'm be very excited to be wrong on that one, but I wrote that down. I guess it's like a non-prediction. I'm not sure if that counts as a prediction, but I think a lot of the Xbox pundits are going to be talking about Gears in the next couple weeks, and I'm going to take the counter, take the opposite.
Oh, they definitely. Okay.
But yeah, opposable thumbs.
Which animal will make the best gamer?
So there are animals that already have opposable thumbs, right? Like monkeys, and chimpanzees,
monkeys,
and
yeah.
Do raccoons have thumbs?
I don't think they do, because that was going to be my answer.
Oh, was it?
Yes, it was.
Because they do a lot of cool shit with their hands, you know, like they can pick up things and hold things and carry things. It's kind of human-like. So my answer was, I was going to say like an ape. But the reason I came to that selection, because I wanted to pick something that had a tail. Because I think if you have opposable thumbs and can hold a controller, but also have a tail, then that's like a leg up. That's an advantage nobody can keep up with.
Yeah. Okay, I just Googled it. Raccoons do not have opposable thumbs on their paws. They have 5 long tapered fingers and long nails that allow them to manipulate objects with both their four paws together. So yes,
So if raccoons had
don't have
thumbs,
a
it'd be pretty adept.
Yeah. So my answer
Mhm.
stands. Raccoons.
Yeah, I'm saying whatever ape has the tail. And like can use the tail. Like the ones that use tails to pick up things, to hang from. Like if they've got hands and thumbs and tails, pretty damn serious, man.
Yeah. They'd probably kick our ass.
There's nothing there's nothing we can do with that. You're trying to play Splatoon against somebody that like can hit the trigger and all the face buttons and back. Like it's too much.
At one time.
At one time, it's too much. You're just outgunned at that point.
And they have the intelligence for it.
Yep.
All right. Our next question is from Ed. He said, should other developers who make fighting games try to make their trailers for new fighters like a Smash Bros. Reveal? Could you see the hype and comedy for these different characters?
You're the fighting game guy.
I don't think it'll work. And I'm going to tell you why. Unless, let me stand correct, unless it's a game like Multiverse where you have characters that are well known.
I think people would just claim that they're ripping off Smash.
Yeah, they definitely will.
But if Mortal Kombat was like Scorpions here to play, I think people would be like, "What the fuck are y'all doing?"
But that's the other thing. If Mortal Kombat do that, we're like, we motherfucking know. That's what we're buying Mortal Kombat. We know who Scorpion is.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we know who Sub-Zero is. He should be here. Like, I'd be mad if he wasn't here.
Joins the party. No shit.
Yeah, with Smash Brothers, it's kind of where we like the surprise. Like, who are they going to pick out of the whole?
Okay, what if it was like the DLC character, like Mortal Kombat comes out, and then it's like Judge Dredd joins the combat.
They kind of do that.
Okay,
well, at least for Mortal Kombat, they kind of do that. Like with the combat pack, like we have these special characters coming out. Here's the Predator, and here's Freddy Krueger, and yeah.
Yeah, but is it like animated and like a part of a story and stuff like Smash?
A little bit. It's like a trailer. Like they show like a little gameplay and stuff like that. They'll show like cut scenes of them of their victory pose, and they say like Joker in the fray. And
it's a great question, Ed. Thanks for sending it in.
It is.
But I think people would just mock it for not being Smash.
Yeah, like I said, the thing you have to have characters that people want to play that are recognizable. That's
one of those things that's like just uniquely Smash.
Yes, exactly.
That's their thing. It'd be like if Smash had like fatalities. I don't think they would be down with people would be down with that either. Like whoa, wait a sec, you be doing that? It's Mortal Kombat's thing. It's like it's uniquely that franchise's thing.
Yeah, even like the reveal that's a big part of Smash Brothers. Like we all see the thing and get excited to see who's the next Smash Brothers character.
Could you imagine if Smash had fatalities, by the way? That's my next thing. That's the thing I want. The next time somebody writes in, what can Smash do next? I'm going to go fatalities. That's the answer.
That would be cool.
Fucking just Mario knocking Yoshi's head off his shoulders. Like blood everywhere. Rob the robot ripping Peach in half.
Yeah. I guess Cooper the Fire thing works perfectly. Like Scorpion. Yeah, that works.
That's funny.
All right. Our next question from Drew. Can Xbox turn things around at the showcase? Define turn things around.
That's a good response to that question.
Yeah,
yes. All right. So here's the thing. Everybody, no matter what, is always a good showcase away from shifting the conversation. Both ways, positively and negatively, as we've seen with PlayStation last week. Can Xbox do a lot of goodwill with a great showcase? Absolutely. People love these things. And if they show up and it's awesome, yes. Will it matter if all the games come out and suck like Redfall? No, it won't. It won't matter at all. It'll make it worse. And
very much so.
I'm of the opinion that they could show me everything that I want. I could see Fable, and Fable could look like the greatest Fable I've ever seen. And I'll be excited to talk about how great it looked. But I'm not ever going to be like moving forward. I'm not going to be like, it's dead, it's over, Xbox forever, anything until they start actually showing up with some great releases. And that starts with Forza, which I expect to be as amazing, and Starfield.
Yeah. And And the thing about it is, showcases aren't going to just turn the whole story around, the whole narrative around. Yeah, you may win the day, quote unquote, but you're not going to just sell 20 million Xboxes the next day. It takes time. It needs a multiple showings, multiple success of games to change that narrative, and that's something that they're going to have to just put out there.
PlayStation has built its. I don't even care about the console sales. I'm not even using it as a metric. PlayStation has built its reputation and excitement with its customers, not because they released God of War, not because they released Ghost of Tsushima, because they released God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Uncharted, Gran Turismo, Last of Us 2. Like they have a legacy, a history of releasing multiple exclusives while providing excellent hardware and excellent indies. And right, they're doing everything. It's a part of a bigger ecosystem, which is what Phil was trying to say. But the ecosystem that Phil has is great. Game Pass is great. The controller's great. The system's great. They're missing one thing, and it's the great games. And until that gets fixed, none of the rest matters. Because that's the
and they have some.
That's the start.
They have some. Forza, it's amazing.
Forza's incredible.
Gears is amazing.
I'm getting, I don't even know why. I think it's just Sean. I think I'm just getting hyped. I think Sean's hyping for me for Motorsport. I've never played Motorsport. I've also never been as into cars as I am like right now. So it's kind of like these, like these parallel universes like coming to a head. Like, I don't know, but me being as into cars as I am and Sean talking and selling Motorsport as well as he does has me hyped for Motorsport. Like I'm kind of jonesing for like a real car game, like getting into a car game. So I think I'm more open than ever to being won over by Motorsport, and I'm kind of hoping it does. I hope it gets me.
That's good. I hope you like it.
Yeah, me too.
Our next question is from Haley. She says, "Give me the plot of John Wick 5 that would make the most sense to you since it's now confirmed to be in development."
I'm so upset that it's in development.
Yeah, that is a weird thing.
And I hate saying that because I like John Wick. Obviously, you want more of this thing you like, right?
Can we answer this question without giving spoilers?
I mean, we don't have to spoil John Wick 4. I have been holding off on buying the John Wick movies because, like, basically since 4's announcement. And 4 was announced before COVID. So I've been holding off on buying the physical versions of John Wick for my shelf for 5 years, because I want a complete box set. Like that's what I'm after.
Okay, that's still coming, by the way. That's still coming.
Yeah, but it's not going to be complete now because now they're making another one.
Yeah, that is baffling.
And that really,
it's not too baffling.
It's like money. I've been holding out for this one particular reason, which is stupid. I could just buy the movies and buy more movies. That's what most people do. But like I've been holding out for this one reason, and I feel like so rewarded when I went to the theater and saw John Wick 4. I was like, finally, this fall I'm going to get to do it. And here they are. Like, nope, we got you. Like, damn it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
To answer the question, it's got to be a prequel.
I don't think it's gonna be a prequel.
And
somebody explained to me
how do you do a prequel when Keanu is so old?
Yeah, somebody explained to me how. Like when I first heard the news, I'm like that can't happen. This might be like, oh, this gonna happen. This is how it's gonna be. Like, that makes sense. Now I'm like,
you think they're gonna give us the whole switcheroo?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God, I hate that cheap shit. That bothers me so much in media. That bothers me so much, media. I hate when anybody does. That's, again, not to bring this up again, it's how I felt with the ending of The Last of Us Part 2. That whole third act that I always bring up, it's just cheap out of nowhere. That stuff, I don't like it. It makes me feel disrespected as like a viewer. It's like, now I bought into this, and you're like, well, we made it up. It's like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I kind of feel that with this.
Oh, I hate that.
If that's true, yeah. When I heard the 5 was, I was like, why? What are you talking about? Like,
it was perfect. You nailed it.
Yes. I had to correct myself. Like, you mean a spinoff? No, 5. I'm like, what?
The money is the root of all evils.
Yeah.
Like we
I'm
can't
not-
have things just can't end anymore. Can anything just be written? We can't even have movies with endings now.
Nah.
Fast X was supposed to be just the end, and then it was going to be a 2-part end, and now it's going to be a trilogy end. And who knows, by the time we get to the end of it in 2031, there'll be 5 more movies in production. Like, we just can't end anything. Anything just can't end anymore.
Did you see Ludacris's interview about that?
No.
He was like, because they asked him that question. He's like, I'm tired of getting this question. It keeps going because the movies keep making $1 billion. That's why.
That's true.
And
yeah, no, I
he's
get
like,
it. It's money. It's just money.
He's like, when it stops making $1 billion, that's when we'll stop.
And I care less about it on the Fast and Furious side because Fast and Furious movies are stupid. You know, like they're just action scenes spliced together with very loosely connected stories, you know? Whereas John Wick was actually telling a full story over its
a great story.
You know, and it's like, I don't want them to jeopardize that for money.
Yeah. I am like concerned about that. Like, that's rough.
So yeah, I'm kind of bummed about it too.
Yeah. All right. How do I pronounce this, Donnie?
He wrote in a while ago. I want to say, I think it's Quentin.
Quentin? Okay.
Yeah, it's Q43N, but didn't he wrote in and told Dev one time that I think he said it was Quentin. I think.
Okay. That kind of makes sense.
If we got it wrong, we're sorry. He writes in a lot, so.
Yeah. Yes, he does. His question is, what do you want most from the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake? And do you think they'll ever remake the others? Yes, they will. They're gonna remake the others. I definitely think that. And I just want it to be a great
it's gonna make $1 billion. Just to the credit you just said. That's why, because Metal Gear Solid 3 is gonna go out, make a ton of money. That's why they're gonna remake the other ones.
Yes, I think I just hope it's great. I hope that they put the care and attention to detail that Metal Gear deserves. I wanted to get the same type of remake that the Resident Evil games have gotten. That same facelift and the coat of paint. And
so I've got a dilemma for you here.
That they put in it. Okay.
Metal Gear Solid 3, honestly, I want modern controls with better graphics and leave everything else alone. Cutscenes, voiceover,
that is fair too.
There's a great story. Just give me a better controls. Maybe fluff it up with some cool, like, collector stuff. I don't know if you can do interviews or documentaries or whatever, like throw some of that stuff in there, but leave the game alone. But I have a dilemma for you because I agree with you. I think they're going to remake the other ones. And it is because they're going to be successful and make money, but there's also another reason. I don't think they can make new Metal Gear games for a minute. Like, think about if this was like Metal Gear or whatever.
They tried to survive. It stunk.
Well, yeah, but that's like a multiplayer game. I'm talking about how do you think the reception would be? Is at the PlayStation Showcase they said Metal Gear Resurrected and they introduced like a new character.
People would have a fit.
Oh, people would be people would be pissed. Metal Gear Rising, you know, a new Snake starring Raiden, a Raiden prequel story or whatever. People would be furious. They'd be so damn mad. Rising. Yeah, people would be so mad because of Kojima.
Yeah.
So what I think they have to do is I think they've got to remake these games for a few years to get people just used to them making Metal Gear games before they can make a new Metal Gear game. I think that's what they have to do. So that's why I think they're going to remake Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 and probably 4.
Yeah, and they have to do it in a way that people like them enough to want to support, to want a new Metal Gear game.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. You're right. That's important. But I also think they just need like some time in distance away from people's recent memories with Kojima.
Yes.
Right. Like if they announce it now, everybody that knows what happened with Kojima would be super pissed. Jeff Keighley would tweet about it. They'd make a showing at the Game Awards, right? But if they remake these games for like 7 years and then they make a new one, I don't know if people will still care as much then. I don't think they will.
The story will be more about can they make a new Metal Gear game?
Right.
As opposed to Kojima and his vision.
And plus, you can't like say that they're like being disrespectful. Like they remade all of his games so you could keep playing them, like at
Yeah.
some point they'll have to return. So I think at this point, if they remake all the games, I think they will have like paid their penance and we can all just move on.
That changed the narrative.
Yeah. So I think that's the most important part. I think that's why they're going to remake everything. But here's my dilemma for you. Metal Gear Solid is kind of like a top-down, right? Top-down stealth game. It's not Resident Evil. So
At all.
do you want the Resident Evil like Nemesis to Resident Evil Nemesis remake treatment to Metal Gear Solid 1? Do you want them to go full Final Fantasy remake to Metal Gear Solid 1?
You know what? I'm going to say, yeah. Go for it.
Because that's a completely different game.
That is a completely different game.
Completely different. Like you won't even recognize it.
Overhaul.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a different game.
I think that's the way to go. And I think that'll be a good litmus test to whether we want to see them make more Metal Gear games or not.
So as I said before, when we're talking about Metal Gear Solid 3, this is why I saved this now. Remember when I said I made several cases to if you depart too far from the game, that I think people are going to be angry. Do you think if they showed up with Metal Gear Solid 1, but looks like Metal Gear Solid 3, do you think people are going to willing to accept that?
I think so.
Okay.
And the reason why I think so is because of the Resident Evil games. The Resident Evil games have paved the way for a lot of this stuff to be done.
Okay.
Long as it's done well. That's
Okay.
the catch.
I'm with you. I am excited for that. I am curious to see how well Metal Gear Solid would translate to a 3D environment game. Because I feel like the game's design is built around it kind of being top down, like how you can see where everybody is and how they alert to you. And like, it's going to be completely different. So part of me wanted to say that I would like them to keep the original design of the game, the top down, everything, and just make it better and prettier and, control better. But I'm with you. Like if they want to do Metal Gear Solid, the remake, that's a huge, that's a Final Fantasy VII type. That's something I don't think I ever imagined would happen. And if they do it, I'm down. I think it'd be awesome. I also wonder if it's like a 5-hour game. Like if they're not going to add story and stuff to it, which if they do, I think it's going to make people very angry. If they don't, in that type of environment, the way we play those games, God, that game could be done real quick. 6 hours. It's a lot if you're charging $70.
Yeah, but they know they can. This is one of the games you can get away with that with because it's such a beloved game.
Resident Evil 3 got away with it. It wasn't quite 6 hours, but it's not very long.
Yeah, it's like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's not very long. But they got my money. I was there.
Nice too.
Maybe they could tack on like some sort of multiplayer mode.
Probably multiplayer mode, or just say, "Hey, here's a whole bunch of concept art."
Here was my idea.
Okay.
Could they do both? Could they do Metal Gear Solid, the remake, this full-blown Metal Gear Solid 3 like game, and then also attach like Metal Gear Solid like HD, or maybe Twin Snakes, or Metal Gear Solid Classic, but it's the original game, but like the models are redone, the textures are redone, it's 4K, it controls better, and you could play both.
Yes, I think they can.
I think you can do it with Metal Gear Solid 1. I don't think you can do it with 2.
Only with 1.
Yeah,
you only can do that with 1.
You only do it with 1. But if they did Twin Snakes, I think that'd be really cool too. They could do like, here's Metal Gear Solid remake, but we also included Twin Snakes.
Yeah.
That's never been re-released, right? Just GameCube?
No, it hasn't. No.
So maybe they do something like that.
That would be cool. I get it.
Smoke Joe's digging. He wants the full-blown whole thing remake. He said he's buying 3 copies, hand them out Christmas. I want it too. I don't. I'm just trying to. I'm honest with him. I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm trying to like think in my head how people react to Metal Gear Solid 1 in like first person.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing. I don't know if the reaction will be a good thing, I guess is a better way of saying it.
Yeah. All right. Our next question from TPR. He asks, what's the most memorable, best meal of your life? And he also asked, what's the best steak you ever had and where?
Best steak I've ever had is an Atlanta spot. It's pretty pricey, but a lot of people know it's where all like lawyers and doctors go. It's called Hal's. Make steaks right there. It's real good.
I can't even think of the best steak I've ever had.
Best meal I've ever had. I don't know. I mean, I think my
That's a good
meal
question.
is so dependent on mood.
Yeah. That's a good one. You know, it depends on mood. I've had some really good ramen in some places. I love ramen.
Because I'm pretty sure I've had excellent food that was just like better. But there's other times I've had food at the right moment, you know, that made that
There's that.
experience better.
Yeah, there's
You
that.
know, it's like your food might be better than this food, but this food that I have right now is exactly the food I need right now.
Yeah.
You know,
See, when I think of best food, I don't necessarily think of best food I've had. I think of most memorable meals that I've had.
for like the experience, like people and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
experience, you know.
That's good.
So I guess the meal is a part of the grander scheme of things. Like, you know, but it's more of like, you know, the experience, like the first date or something like that. Or
Yeah. Well, in that path, following your lead, I'll just throw a shout out to my mom. I've said it before on many podcasts. I don't get a lot of chances to shout out my mom. She wasn't the best mom. But my mom absolutely fucking crushed food. Like
Okay.
It's hard to explain. It's hard to put it over because I understand everybody probably puts over like their mom or their grandma's cooking. My mom's cooking was like so legendary with the support group that I grew up with that like everybody took notice. I'm not saying this for me. I'm telling you, I could bring you references and not like brother references, cousins, uncles, friends of the family. People would travel when my mom got cooking. And I don't mean that as a joke. I'm being dead serious. People drive 2-3 hours because my mom's cooking dinner. She was a great cook. And if she was doing like chicken and dumplings or her Italian sandwiches, which I often talk about, she used to make this, it's hard to explain. It's like, she used to make this two things she used to make, but the first one, she used to make these, like noodles, like macaroni noodles, but she would put them in like tomato juice, but not spaghetti. It was more like a soup. It was like a tomato soup, but with noodles. I don't know. It's hard to explain, man, but it was fucking good. And then the other thing that she used to make, which is, I'm pretty sure my wife always tells me is absolutely terrible for you, but my wife has a recipe. She used to make this like scallop potato soup is what she would call it. Or she would crush up, or she would chop up potatoes. She'd put them in a pot. She'd put like a block of Velveeta cheese in there, like some cream cheese, like some cheddar, some butter, I think chicken broth, and she would like smoke some andouille, like some sausage, like some smoked sausage. And she'd put all that in a pot and just let that bake like all day, like on a low simmer.
That sounds good.
And I'm telling you, man, on a cloudy, snowy Ohio day where your fingers are numb and shit, like that shit hit the spot like nothing you've ever had.
Wow.
It was really, really good.
That sounds good.
My mom could cook. She really could. I have a book of recipes that she wrote down very shortly before she died. She wanted to make my wife a gift for us getting married. And, you know, I've told these stories about my mom. I think you're pretty aware. You know, we didn't come from much. She never had much. So she couldn't buy like a gift. So her gift that she gave to my wife was she wrote down all of her recipes. Not all of them. She wrote down whatever she had on her mind at the time. It's like 20 recipes, not like a whole book.
That's pretty sweet though.
She hand wrote every one of them, detailed them all out, ingredients, everything. And my wife kept them forever. And to be honest with you, I forgot about them. We cleaned our closet and I found them. I told my family that we found this recipe book they literally want me to fax copies. They want me to send copies of this recipe book to them. Cousins, aunts.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom didn't do anything well, but she can fucking cook, man.
That's dope. That's a great answer.
What about you?
All right. Oh, I'm not answering after that. That is the answer. That is the answer. That is you expect me to follow that?
Don't let me overshadow you set me up. You're like, you think of first dates and memorable moments. I thought you were gonna have you've got the mermaid story. You know, you're doing Boys to Men shoots on the beach and shit. I expected you to have something for me.
One.
I'm trying to rise to your level.
I'll give one then. I remember the year, I guess it's the last real year I had like a big Thanksgiving dinner with my aunt before she passed away. Her thing was always, she could cook. She could really get down. She can cook. She was a heavy set black woman, not an older woman. She was like, in her, I guess 40s, 50s. But her thing
knew her way around like Crisco and lard.
Knew her way around the stove and everything like
that.
Her thing was always, because she knew I loved sweet potato pie, and she knew I loved banana pudding. So she would make a whole slab of banana pudding for me and a whole sweet potato pie.
That's awesome.
Among other things, like we'd have the Thanksgiving dinner that she'd make.
Dude, I'm with you, by the way. You've hit a chord. I love fresh made hot banana pudding.
Yes.
Like out of the oven.
Yes.
That's so damn good.
She make it for me. She make one for the family, like, and this one is for Delvin. And this sweet potato pie is for Delvin. I'm like, and I missed that. I haven't had good sweet potato pie in so long. It's been so long since I had a really, really good sweet potato pie or banana pudding for that matter.
You are blowing my mind because you're reminding me of something right now. My Aunt Wanda makes banana pudding. That's her specialty. And the thing that I always remember from her is she makes it like everybody in my family does. She bakes it, so it's hot. Everybody in my family always does whipped cream and vanilla wafers as a layer on top. My Aunt Wanda uses Biscoff cookies.
Biscoff cookies? What's
Biscoff? Lotus Biscoff cookies. You ever heard of them?
No, I have not.
This is why it sticks out to me, because I never knew about. They're like cookies that you used to get like on like an airplane. They're like coffee cookies, kind of. I think that's what people use them for.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah,
and they kind of have like this cinnamony taste. And she would put them in her banana pudding, and they would melt. And you would get like this cinnamony like swirl through the banana pudding with the cream on top, and it was otherworldly, man. It was really good. It was really good. My entire life, I've always remembered this cookie because she makes it with just banana pudding. It's my only reference for it.
Huh. I gotta try that.
But I get the type of person you're describing. Like my mom, one of the things about her recipes is that they don't have like real exact measurements on like ingredients. It's just like a list of stuff.
Yeah.
But my wife never knows how much of anything to put in anything because she never measured.
Yeah.
My mom
enough.
No, my mom measurement was taste. She measured to taste. It was done. It was enough when it tasted right.
That is the answer. Enough.
Which has been one of the more like cheesy, sappy things that I love about like moments that I spend with my wife is that she'll try to make these from time to time. She'll pull out my mom's book and she'll try to make it. And it's a co-op adventure because she's trying to figure out how much of this shit to put in there. And her only reference is for me to taste it. It's like I'm the Rosetta Key. And she's like trying to reverse engineer this recipe. And we've done it for years. She's tried making those tomato noodles and like 1 year, like we nailed it. I think the last time she nailed it. But that nailing process was like 8 failed experiments before then. Where she try it this way and she try a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. And then she comes over with the spoon and she gives it to me. And for years she tried making this recipe and she'd give it to me and I'd be like, it's not bad, but
that ain't it.
That ain't it. You know, and she'd always just like, damn it, you know, and she'd just keep trying. And like, I think the last time she did it was like last year. And I was like, that's it. Like, that's it. You nailed it. We got it. Write that down. Whatever you did, write it down. And then we move on to like the next one. And like, she does, we've done that with the German chocolate cake. We've done it with the potato soup. Yeah. We just kind of keep going through them. It's fun. It's fun. It's kind of like, you know, like her memory's still kind of like with us. It's kind of in the kitchen.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Incredible to say the least. I'm going to transition to this question. Screw it. We're just going with
That's what we do, man. We're here for the 7.
Yeah,
Jeez, it's been 3 hours. It doesn't feel like it's been 3 hours.
We've been rocking.
It also, though, it's only 11. So I also feel like we're way ahead of schedule. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because usually by the time I edit and post this thing, when I'm doing this, I'm up to like 2 in the morning. I'm going to be out of here at like what? Like 12:15 and be skig.
Probably before that. We're almost done.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Yeah. Kyle the Pug asks, fuck you, Kyle the Pug. Since Seth Rollins is the new World Heavyweight Champion.
Not in Delvin's eyes.
Oh, he is. Who will he be feuding with, and who will try to challenge him for the title?
Oh, I've got an answer
for this. But the answer has had his arm broken.
Who broke his arm?
Brock Lesnar. The answer was Cody Rhodes.
Oh,
Cody
no.
Rhodes
No, that is the worst answer. Keep Cody away from him.
Because as I see, Cody's not getting that belt from Roman.
Oh, he is. Just at next WrestleMania. It's going to be a year. Yeah. Give it a while.
So I was going to say, let Seth beat Cody. No. But that's not going to happen.
No, because then Cody's got to get it back. And no. Cody
has beaten Seth Rollins like 3 times already.
Cody versus Brock is more important than the new title that Seth has to establish.
That's not a good thing.
It's higher on the card. Oh, it's just a new title. It has to be established.
Yeah.
You know, Gunther and his title is more important right now than what's like this title has to be established. So keep Cody away from it.
That's why I think Seth beating Cody would have been cool. But that's not going to happen now because he's fighting Brock. He's going to be
I've got
Brock
an answer. And Kyle's going to love it. I'm going to tell you the answer. And I actually think I'm spot on with this one. This isn't a joke.
Okay.
I need a 6-month feud of absolute barn-burning matches between Seth freaking Rollins and LA Knight.
LA Knight's on Raw?
I don't give a shit. I don't care who's on Raw. That's what I want. Give me what I want. Does the brand split ever matter?
That could be fun. Yeah,
I think it'd be perfect because I think those two would put on excellent matches. I think LA Knight is already he's gotten over to the point where he's no longer the heel. He's supposed to be the heel and he's not the heel. People are behind him.
Yeah.
So you let him be against heel Rollins and it'd be incredible.
That would be incredible.
Yep.
One of the rumors was that LA Knight's going to win that Money in the Belt bank thing. So
perfect. I'm telling you, it's perfect to square off against Seth.
That'll be cool.
You could bring Bray back.
Well, he's supposed to be coming back soon. So
if Seth beats Bray for the title, that elevates the title in a way that like Drew and Sheamus and nobody else can.
Yeah, that's the thing. The people that they have, Seth has already faced like all of them.
He's beaten most of them. Yeah,
and he's beaten most of them.
That's the problem is he can't elevate the title without like a real threat. And I don't think people think many of those people are real threats. Yeah, like if it's not Brock, if it's not Cody.
Yeah, he's beaten Bobby Lashley already.
Yeah, it's not Lashley. And their matches weren't very good anyway. Lashley is not. He's an awesome character, but not a great like match guy. More like Goldberg. Okay. More like Goldberg. He's like you really just want him to like come in and crush stuff and leave. You know, you don't want him out there too long.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
And that's not Seth's game. With Seth, you want somebody that can go.
Yeah.
And LA Knight would be perfect. It'd be so good.
Yeah. I think LA Knight's the answer. That's a good
Have
answer.
Rhea get the belt. Rhea versus Seth. Isn't that what they teased?
Dom.
They teased with Dom.
They teased Dom in the bank.
And that's a fine like opening feud because Dom is not in Seth's wheelhouse, but Judgment Day are, and like it can be Seth
Yes.
versus a whole faction. Priest
Yes.
actually. Hang on a second.
That's a good one.
Priest is a good answer. Yeah,
That's
that's
a
a
good
really
answer.
good answer. Priest and Seth, if Triple H would like take the cuffs off a little, that could be really good.
That could be really good.
But I think Bray would elevate the title. If Bray come back and stalk Seth for a couple weeks and then have a match at the next pay-per-view, and Bray would kind of establish the title. He didn't have to win the title, but he could establish the title.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Tone it down on all this smoke and mirrors bullshit. No more glow in the dark matches.
No
If he's
more
gonna keep doing that,
pitch black
put him
match.
with Naomi. Just make a tag. Like just make it a thing.
Oh man. All right. Our next question. Another
Don
we
32
got a
met
few
Lashley.
questions. Oh, that had
He
to
is
be
a
cool.
super nice guy.
Yeah,
He's charismatic.
dude.
He's very funny.
yeah, he is. Big dude. TPR has two questions for us. Let's go to the first one. He asks, all right, if you haven't answered it by the time you read this question, the over under exactly 6 games for this NBA Finals.
All right.
Ooh.
So here, I got 2 ways of looking at this. I'm not going to hedge. I'm going to pick, but I got 2 ways of looking at this. If Denver wins game 1, I don't think this series is going very long.
I think it goes 5 if Denver wins game 1.
I agree. If Miami pulls the upset in game 1, because that's the one you've got to get. Denver hasn't been playing for a little while, right? They might come out a little cold. Miami's feeling it. They came off game 5. Like, you got to get game 1. I think everybody probably sees Miami as the underdog, right?
Oh, of course.
When you're the underdog in a series, the most important thing you can do is win game 1. You got to get the first one. That's the easiest one to get. So get the first one. If Miami wins game 1, it goes 6, maybe 7. But unfortunately for you, Delvin, I think the Nuggets win game 1. I think the series is done in 5. I'll give Miami 1.
I think so too. I think it might be. If they can get 6, I think the Heat can win in 6. But it's
I
hard. It's gonna be
think Jimmy and Bam are strong enough that they wouldn't go down in a sweep. I don't think it would. But if
Yeah, I
you
don't think so.
told me that 2 weeks from now Denver has swept Miami, I wouldn't be that surprised.
I wouldn't either.
Didn't they sweep them in season?
Yes, that's what worries me.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
don't-
worries
I
about
don't
this
think
whole
it's-
thing.
I don't think Miami's the better team. Now, there's a reason you play the game. Better team doesn't always win. I'm convinced the Cavs are a better team. They lost in New York. Right? That doesn't matter. But they're not the better team on paper. And I don't think it's a good matchup either. I think they got both of those things going against them. Whereas I think the Cavs, I think the Knicks had a good matchup with the Cavs. I don't think Miami has a good matchup with the Nuggets. I think of all the teams that could have come out of the West, the Nuggets might be the one team they didn't want to see.
That's the worst team.
Because they're like, the zone is not revolutionary. It's not new. People have been playing zone. Typically, you play zone to either throw a team a curveball or because you don't have the athletes. Like you're trying to hide somebody, like Duncan Robinson or Kevin Love or something like that, right? That's why it usually doesn't work in the NBA, because usually the NBA is the best athletes in the world. You cannot play zone against somebody like Jokic. I don't believe that's going to be a path to success. That really worries me if I was a Heat fan. I feel the same way if you were playing zone against Larry Bird or Steve Nash or Jason Kidd or Tony Parker. You're going to get picked apart. You can't sit there and give up so much open space to a player like that.
I agree.
So, yeah. I got Nuggets in 5.
TPR has another question. We talked about this a little bit when we started the show. He said, Jaylen Brown had 8 turnovers on Monday. Couldn't dribble to save his life. And despite that, he'll probably be offered a Supermax extension this offseason.
He is.
In today's NBA mid-tier contracts for $8 to $16 million or so.
I'm going to correct you a little bit, TPR.
Oh.
Mid contracts for like good role players, more like 12 to 22, actually.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
Yeah.
It's usually now either a small contract for a veteran or unproven player, or these super maxes. Do you think Jaylen Brown is worth the kind of supermax money the Celtics front office is likely to throw at him?
I have a lot to say about this.
The floor is yours.
Okay. Have you been following any of the NBA just struck like a new collective bargaining agreement, right?
I did see that, yes.
I'm so happy Dev's not here because about the nerd shit that I'm about to go into, he would not want to listen to any of it. So I'm like so happy that he's not here. Okay. The reason I like Jared Allen on the Cavs, right? Fourth best player on the team, role player, center. He makes $20.5 million. I think the mid-level exception is like 9. And usually you're not getting like a good role player for the mid-level. You're getting like an aging guy that didn't have a roster. You're getting like Kevin Love for the mid-level.
Exactly. You're getting a veteran.
Yeah, you're getting a veteran. Like Andre Iguodala got more than the mid-level. So, yeah, it's more like 12 to 22, I would think, for most role players. But here's the thing. Okay, this new collective bargaining agreement is fascinating because it's going to change the way the NBA has operated for a while. And TPR is actually on to it here because what he describes, I think we're going to see more of. So, teams that are over the new, I'll call it like it's not really a hard cap, like the salary cap limit, like the second apron, like the super repeater tax era, like the level where you get taxed the hardest, which is usually the best teams. That's where they are. Like if you're a great championship competing team, you are above this apron. I think like 10 teams this year are above the apron. I don't think the Nuggets are one of them actually. But if you're one of these teams and you're above the apron in the super tax, going forward, starting next season, this isn't even a thing that's going to take 3 or 4 years to implement. This starts right away. If you're over that tax, you no longer get the mid-level. It's just gone. You just can't use it anymore. So teams like the Warriors that get to sign a really good free agent for $10 million to come play for them, they don't.
Can't do it no more.
Nope.
That's a big deal.
They don't get to sign players in season like free agent, like people have been released. You just don't get to sign them in season. Kevin Love never shows up in Miami.
Yeah.
That's been a huge thing in the NBA for like the last 10 years.
Especially during like the trade deal.
Yeah.
And stuff like
Somebody
that. Yeah.
doesn't get traded and then they all get bought out and then they all go play for contenders. That's like, and that can still happen. You just can't go to the teams that are over the super tax.
The teams that really need you. The teams
they no longer get their biannual exception. And I believe they're limited. They're probably, I'm not sure if there's an actual rule, but I think this is more of like a salary cap, like ratio kind of thing. They're probably limited to like 2 max players. Like super maxes. Like once you're locked in with those 2 players, like by the way the cap works, like if you're assuming that, I think the assumption is because of these new rules, not many teams, if any, are probably going to go above the apron anymore. So if you're not going above the apron and you have 2 max guys, then you have very limited resources to like put a team around them. So
that means less super teams probably.
Exactly. And that's exactly what the CBA was. It was designed to do 2 things: less super teams and less everybody flocking to like the same 4 free agent spots. They want to spread that out a little. And I'll tell you what happened is last year the Warriors signed, oh shit, who did they sign? They signed a good player. Is it Ingles?
It might be.
They signed somebody for like $10 million while they were over the tax because they had the exception. And he was a good player. And everybody was like, what are we doing? Like this team shouldn't be allowed to do that. I wanted to say it was Ingles, but I can't remember that. I'm trying to look up a roster. Might be DiVincenzo. But anyway, whoever it was, that's what the issue is. They're trying to stop that from happening. They're like, this is, okay, what are we doing here? We got all these teams that would desperately love to add this guy, but they can't because he wants to go play for the Warriors, who are way over the tax anyway. So they've put it in where they just no longer can do that. So you just can't get the guy. It doesn't matter if he wants to play for you or not. He's just not allowed to do it. So that'll spread those sort of role players around. So here is the thing that I think might happen. And I listened to a sports podcast that talked about this a bit.
Okay.
I think what might happen is I do think you'll see more importance on finding the real Supermax guys. For the last few years, we've kind of lived in a world where a team would Supermax somebody just to keep them, right? And I think going forward, there might be less of like a, we're going to Supermax him just because we drafted him, right? Like, we're not going to Supermax Ben Simmons just to keep him, right? Like, we like you, Ben. We'll pay you a lot, but we're not giving you the Supermax just because you're here, because we don't think you're one of the best players in the league. And we would rather reserve our Supermax space for somebody that is one of the best players in the league, because eventually one of them will come available because there's not enough spaces for everybody, right?
9 times 10, yeah.
Right. So the problem then becomes, if that's what's going to happen, then that might drive down the prices on role players. Because there's limited cap space to go around, there might be teams. It's going to go one of two ways. There'll either be a team out there that tries to do it like the Pistons did it. They'll be like, fuck it. Instead of having 2 alpha stars, we'll have 4 really good all-stars. Or there'll be the other team that has, 2 alpha stars and a bunch of guys making like $7 million. Like, they'll just get the best player they can for $7 or $8 million and call it a day. I think it's going to change the way the league looks now. And to get back to the question, Jaylen Brown is not a Supermax guy.
No.
Dude, he shot, same podcast I listened to said he shot something egregious. He was like 7 of 130 from 3. It was like ridiculous in the series against the Heat. It was like I had never heard, but I was like, what? It blew my mind when I heard the number. It was through the roof. He missed so many damn threes. Terrible. And he had an awful series. And he's about to get paid like $50 million a year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And your question then becomes, like, if you're a Celtics fan, like, can you ever win? Like, if that's what he's bringing you, can you ever win with any combination of players like that? I don't think so. Not in that salary cap future. Like, I think these rules have basically created a hard cap for the NBA. Ultimately, like, long story short, that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, there might be some crazy ass owner that goes over and is like, who cares? But like, the way that you limit, also, if you do that, you can't trade as many draft picks as you can now. I think right now you can trade draft picks for like up to 10 years. Like, the Lakers could ship out like a 2032 pick. If you're over that apron, like, I think you can only send out picks like for up to 5 years. So it limits you on how many picks you can trade.
So you got to really be strategic about that.
So like, the Clippers can't send, in this new future, the Clippers can't send every pick they have for a decade for Paul George. That deal never gets done.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because when they made that deal, they were over the cap.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to change. I think it's going to change a lot. I think the NBA is going to change a lot. And I don't think the players realize what they agreed to. I think the owners are like, we fucking crushed it.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen in 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised if 5 years from now we have a lockout because the players are holding out because they don't like what's happening. But we'll see. I don't know. It may just keep going on and nobody notices it. But I think the NBA finally has a hard cap. And I don't think it'll happen at like the top. Like, I don't expect Phoenix to be broken up soon, right? Although I wouldn't be surprised if they move Paul. But what I think is going to happen is I think it's not going to be at the LeBron, Jokic, Jimmy level. It's going to be at the level just below it.
Yeah.
That's the level it's about to get smoothed out. They're all going to get spread out. And I think if you're a team like the team that I would look at, if you're like, well, is any of this going to come to fruition? The team that I would look at is OKC. Where they've got like 6 dudes that probably think they're going to get max at some point, and they all can't stay there. Under these new salary cap, they got to go. So some of those pieces are going to get consolidated into other pieces soon. In like the next 3 seasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Our final question. I don't know how to answer this question. Joe asks, do you think hiring Nick Nurse will fix Philly's choking problem?
Nope.
Well, that's the answer.
Sorry. I think Nick Nurse is a great coach, and I think he's probably he's an upgrade over Doc. Although I like Doc. I know everybody hates Doc and they make fun of him now. Doc's a
I don't
really
hate Doc.
successful coach.
He
Proven the very successful coach. I think people may take his experience and his success for granted.
For granted. Yeah.
But coaches just don't matter much in the NBA. They don't.
It's the players.
People don't like hearing that, but it's true. Even like, look at Pop. People, this is usually the thing people go to is, what about Pop? Yeah, what about Pop? When you take away all-time players from his roster, they're at the bottom of the league. And I'm sure Pop maybe is worth a win or two in a season. Maybe he just out schemes and out prepares the other team so much that he puts them in a position to win a couple more games a year than the other team. Maybe. But it's got to, at most, it's a couple games. At most. Right?
Yeah.
At most.
You're dealing with, at that level, or at least NBA caliber level, you're dealing with players who are elite. While coaching helps, it doesn't. It's the player, it's the coach on the floor, the floor general. That's why LeBron James has so much power everywhere he goes, because he demands it. And you have those type of caliber players, you got to kind of fall in line. And this is the perfect situation. When a player has a problem with a coach 9 times out of 10, that coach is gone.
Yeah, coach gone.
Doesn't matter.
He'd be a great coach. He'd been coach there a long time.
Yeah.
We see it all the time.
Be a great coach. Coaching matters more in college than NBA.
Well, the coach is the program in college. The players are the program in NBA.
That's where it matters at. In college, it matters.
Yeah.
NBA is like,
So, like, and again, there are a couple examples I bring up about this. Spo, I think Spo's one of the best coaches in the league and has been for some time.
Yes.
After he lost his big three, Miami was at the bottom of the league. Like any coach, it doesn't matter who the coach is, they're only as good as the players they have. Period.
Yeah.
The make or miss league. Every player will tell you about it. All it matters if your players are making and missing. And on the opposite spectrum, the Cavs hired a European coach named David Blatt, who in his rookie season in the NBA went to the NBA Finals. And everybody, if you listen to any backdoor podcasts or anything about that team, JR and LeBron and Tristan, everybody hated the coach constantly.
Said he was terrible.
Ty Lue was constantly having to fix the problems in the background. Ty Lue had to stop this man from trying to call a timeout he didn't have in the finals. That would have cost them a game. He basically tackled the man. He was, by all accounts, a terrible coach. Now, he's actually a very accomplished coach in Euroball, but by all accounts in the NBA, by almost every metric, he was a terrible coach. His players hated him. He did not know what he was doing. It was over his head. And they went to the finals with a coach that everybody hated.
Yeah.
That's how little coaching matters in the NBA.
I remember the stories about him.
When it comes to coaching, it's two things. In the NBA, when it comes to coaching, is you need somebody who can manage and maintain the egos in the locker room. Keep everybody playing for each other and happy. Right? You're like a glorified babysitter. And then I think the best coaches find exploits, find some weakness to exploit from the other team. That's what it is, a coaching. Like you draw up a cool inbounds play. You realize like, hey, if we put this person in a double action pick and roll, we can get open threes. Like that's what you're getting from a coach. You're not changing a series with a coach. You're not changing a championship because of coach. Nick Nurse isn't going to stop Joel Embiid from getting hurt a bunch or not showing up in Game 7. I don't know if he's going to keep Harden in Philly or not, but I tell you what, if Harden leaves Philly, Philly's in a world of trouble because he's going to opt out. And if he doesn't get his money and he goes back to Houston or somewhere else, Philly's in a world of hurt. They might as well trade Joel because he's going to be demanding a trade soon because they're going to not be very good without Harden.
Yeah.
I don't think Harden's a great player in the league, but I tell you what, Philly without Harden's not going to be very good
at all.
So Yeah, I don't think Nick Nurse can get them over the hump. That's got to come from within.
Yeah. All right. Shoot, I think that does it for us.
What a show.
Almost 4 hours.
Oof. I hope you guys like it. We did it for the 7, but I will say this before we sign off. Delvin, I had a lot of fun just chatting and hanging out with you, man.
I did too.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Find Def more often.
Maybe we do it without Deb more often. That's exactly what I was thinking. Who needs Deb? Deb who? Who? Send him back to XP. It's like NXT. Like, just demote him. This is Baron Corbin.
I was just going to say that. He's on Baron Corbin. Oh, man.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Again, hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you next week.